You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker, what do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, here we go. I'm at my one and only day at my favorite place, my favorite event, the NFL Combine at the Convention Center. Hey, thank you very much. Before I get started, I did want to thank Derek Schultz, who was in for me yesterday. This is a true story last night. So I take Blake over to Cincinnati, and I got home at about 2:30 in the morning from seeing some dude, and I see a lot of younger generational nerds in here, and they probably know who I went to see. I saw somebody called Excision yesterday. Excision. And this is EDM. I sent out some video of it. It was a wild scene last night at the Andrew J. Brady Center, which is a nice place over in Cincinnati. So Excision. I saw Excision and then some Australian chick who was a DJ too called Sippy. Sippy was out there. And if you're asking, were you the oldest person in the venue? I don't think there is any question that I was the oldest person in the venue last night over in Cincinnati. Hey, by the way, too, shout out to the Red Leprechaun, which is an outstanding place near this particular event center where I was in Cincinnati. The Red Leprechaun. Basically between Paycor and Great American Ballpark right there was the location. Cincinnati, I hadn't been there in a while. Cincinnati, that was pretty nice, and that was fun. It's fun to see the certainly a lot younger other side of it. I kind of made jokes that, hey, I'm going to roll to see Air Supply, and this is not Air Supply. What the hell am I seeing right here? But it was Excision and Sippy last night. And a shout out to Derek Schultz, who came in yesterday and allowed me to do just that. All right, busy show. I'll explain. Shane Steichen is going to join us, the head coach of the Colts, coming up at about 4:30 today. Matt Miller of ESPN is going to join us coming up a little bit later on. So we got a lot of stuff for you. Greg Rakestraw, we got the girls' high school state finals coming up this weekend. I am working feverishly to get the local representation, by the way, on this show in the latter portions of the week, so you can look out for that without question. You got IU in action coming up later on tonight. We'll talk about that. I still haven't – I still – and I know I have started to embrace the NHL and hockey a lot more. I've started watching it. But Sunday morning, that was such an incredible time to watch. There is nothing better. And I'm going to feel in a similar way, although we probably have a predicted outcome for the World Cup. But, man, was that fun with Team USA and Canada on Sunday morning. And it ended with gold for the men's hockey team for the first time since 1980. And just the human interest stuff, you know, the Johnny Gaudreau kids and the picture, that's lifetime memorable stuff. That's people often say this, and sometimes it becomes, you know, a little bit, just a little bit. It's not even a rite of passage any longer when you say, well, that's why we love sports. That legitimately is the reason why we love sports. And I know that everybody had talked about that on these shows in the last day or so, but that was absolutely incredible. Shout out to that. Sorry I missed everybody yesterday on that, but it was an awesome Sunday. Going back to Friday, you had IU Purdue. I mentioned IU's coming up later on tonight. IU actually this evening at home versus Northwestern. That is a tip time of 7 o'clock down in Bloomington, which means 93 WIBC has you coming up at 6 o'clock. All right, we got Shane Steichen. I got a lot of questions. He and Chris Ballard are going to meet with the media coming up right before Shane Steichen comes over to me in the 4 o'clock hour. Pacers and 76ers later on tonight. This is what I gather from this morning, and this is why you have to love Rick Carlisle. And we'll see if it turns out this way. You know, maybe I'm a little bit too far ahead of it. Maybe I'm underestimating the stupidity of the NBA and what they might do, what they might try after all this. But in case you missed it this morning, Rick Carlisle does his normal Tuesday thing with the guys in the morning as they were sitting right here. James, if you have that ready, hopefully you do, because I want to go to it right here. I got a little something to play off of as far as what Rick had to say regarding the $100,000 fine that was levied by the NBA almost a couple of weeks now. And you know where I stand on this. I mean, hell, I don't care. I just want to see the Pacers do what's best for the Pacers and their organization moving forward and what is best for their fans. And also keep in mind, we are certainly locked in on the hope that good fortune will prevail and the Pacers will get one of the first four selections in that protected NBA trade deadline deal situation for Ivica Zubac. So that's what we're all hoping. We all kind of wondered why they got lumped in to the whole tanking thing. And, of course, you have my opinion, and I believe my opinion to be 100% accurate. But when asked about it this morning, this is what Pacer head coach Rick Carlisle had to say.
Yeah, I put out a statement about it. I didn't agree with it. There was a league lawyer that was doing the interview that kind of unilaterally decided that Aaron Nesmith, who had been injured the night before and couldn't hold the ball, should have played in the game, which just seems ridiculous. And during the interview process, I was not on it, but I heard details. We asked them if they wanted to talk to our doctors about it, because it's something that was documented by our doctors and trainers. They said no, they didn't need to. They talked to their doctors who did not examine Aaron Nesmith. And we asked them if they wanted to talk to the kid. And they said no, they didn't need to. So this was shocking. This was shocking to me. And during the interview, they also asked if we'd considered medicating him to play in a game when we were 30 games under 500. So I was very surprised. Obviously didn't agree with it. This is really the first time I've gone into any detail about it, but that was the deal. And so, yeah. That was it.
That was Rick Carlisle with the fellas earlier this morning. That's what we needed to go off of. That is the most of all time. Did you medicate him in a length to play him? That's what we're doing now. And we all know the underlying factor of this is their partnership with sports bettors. That's exactly what this is all about. Oh, yeah, fair and balanced and whatever. Teams have been doing this for years, and now all of a sudden it matters. Now all of a sudden it matters because of the sports betting partners. But again, I will tell you this, Rick Carlisle was incredibly smart, very savvy in this. Because let's face it, there should be zero way in the world the NBA could send down another fine regardless of what the Pacers do. After all this, what an absolute embarrassment of stupidity. Of the highest levels. a lawyer, and I said this, and hell, half of it last week was in jest. I said this, well, the NBA is going to try to coach up your team. In fact, according to Rick Carlisle this morning, that's exactly what the NBA was trying to do, coach up their team. Let the NBA coach up your team. We got to make this fair. We're going to battle the integrity. I went on when all this took place, and I just thought it was reactionary on two different levels, and certainly the highest level it was reactionary because of the betting partners. But it was also to squash or to quiet down the national outrage of, I can't believe they're doing this. And then, oh, yeah, when it's really easy for people to do, they talk about the integrity of the game. When it's really convenient, let's go over the integrity. It didn't matter. We all know why it truly mattered. And that was so smart. And, oh, by the way, this is what happened. And now that quote and the quotes of that interview, they are sweeping the nation. Now the nation can be outraged about this. And as I mentioned, the NBA now can overreact to a national outrage. How do they overreact? I'm going to save the Pacers some money. I think the Pacers, as I mentioned earlier, the Pacers can run me out there later on tonight and I'll play. You run me out there. Nobody's going to get fined. That is beautiful. Now, it is beyond ridiculous that you have to go about it this way. It's beyond ridiculous. We knew, look at the minutes of Pascal Siakam. And, I mean, hell, at the time, we thought that the whole controversy, if there was one, was centered around Siakam. It wasn't even centered around Siakam. It was about Neesmith and a hand that he couldn't grip a basketball. And then the advice of the NBA was to medicate him, to run him out there. What is this, North Dallas 40? I tell you what it is. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, but it should be proof positive that the NBA can do nothing more. We shouldn't have to talk about this subject again, regardless of what happens. Now, they could end up just doing what they normally do and act stupid about it and give us more content, more reason to be all over it. But where I sit right now, that was smart as hell, and I absolutely love it. Medicate the guy. Here's what we want you to do. We're going to go ahead and coach you. We're going to have this nerdy-ass lawyer from New York that we hired for the NBA coach up your team. Yeah, your guy's okay. Run him out there. That's classic. Absolutely classic. But, again, the better move was by Rick Carlisle making that public. And he made it public not in a, I'm going to shake my fist, not in a variety in which I'm doing it right now, but he made this public in an, oh, by the way, this is what happened, which is so smart. We'll see what happens. And I know what you're saying out there. This could happen at any point in time, and I know what you're saying. You know what? This all comes down to Mother's Day. This all comes down to a draft lottery. And the NBA, you can tilt the ping pong ball machine one way or the other to get the numbers crunched and to pop out the Pacers ended up losing or not getting a top four and being out of a lottery selection. I think if you're going to question stuff, anything right now is in play because of that. There is so much about the inner workings of what is going on that we probably question anyway, but is even more justified today to question. It's a beautiful thing. So I suggest we all do that. It's funny. I came to a point in time with the Pacers, and this was years ago, where I stopped whining publicly about the, quote, lack of love that the Pacers are getting. Yeah, you know what? There's no conspiracy theory. They're not doing that to screw the Pacers. They're not doing that because it's a small market. And you know what? I stopped taking that approach and stopped whining about things. But now you look back on things like that, and maybe there is a justified reason to talk it up. And not because it's a conspiracy theory, because they just have stupid people running things. That's why. Because they have unintelligent people running things. How in the world do you let that get out? How in the world is that any sort of legitimate protocol? I would say, who the hell cares what Kendrick Perkins has to say about your league and about what you need? You should fine them all this. Actually, here's what should happen. The NBA needs to give that $100K back. They need to give it back to the Pacers. They need to give that back. Now let's punish them. Let's punish them. Let's cite them for stupidity. So, to me, I suggest we all write a sternly worded letter to the NBA demanding the Pacers. It matters to us. I mean, it's not our money. But we should demand the Pacers get that $100K back, if for nothing else, for the level of stupidity. And that's exactly what that is. That is an embarrassing, botched level of stupidity where you get too much further than that, you need to see some people lose some gigs. That's how bad that is. And I love the NBA. I love NBA basketball, but holy crap, how awful is that? So you want decision makers with that level of intelligence cobbling together what we enjoy in the highest level of basketball? Because I sure as hell don't. Shout out to Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle not only has guaranteed the Pacers, regardless of what happens, no longer get any fines the rest of the way, but in fact, we should demand they get back the $100,000 they were fined. Oh, it's a beautiful world right there. Shout out to the NBA. And we talked about how this is just, it was so reactionary. It was so obvious as to why it was reactionary. And now it's all out there, and it's even more stupid than most of us were guessing it would be in the first place. That is a beautiful thing right there, everybody. Absolutely a beautiful thing. We got that to talk about. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. I would not mind your input on this at 239-1070. Once I get my laptop, it says I got to troubleshoot something. It's a damn good thing I got Nick, troubleshooter Cotton Gym, here, because he can go to troubleshooting for me in a second, too. I got to get the text line up at 317-239-1070 as well. I got to read some of your stuff. At JMV 1070 on the social media platform X. We are live with the NFL Combine. I got news for you regarding our upcoming golf outing, too. I'll tell you all about that. I've got great news because I have – this is out. And I've mentioned how much I want to get back on the road, and Devin and I have talked about this in the office. Devin is the engineer. Hey, man, I'm missing being on the road. This is not quite what I meant by that, but we are on the road today. That's a good thing. But we're going to be on the road so much in the month of March. There is zero way, like or loathe me, want to make fun of me, want to whip my ass, whatever. Want to share cocktails? So much of an opportunity for you to join us coming up in the month of March. I cannot wait to tell you all about that. Shane Steichen, Colts head coach. He's going to meet with the media. Chris Ballard is going to meet with the media a little bit later on. We've got Shane on here coming up today about 4:30. Matt Miller, we're going to go over the 9. I find it difficult to find any level of interest in what the Colts, like when Shane Steichen sits here, hey, what do you think about that pick? Oh, yeah, I forgot. You don't have it. No number 1 pick. So I had to remind you of that. And I know that these picks are still vital, the ones that they have in the draft coming up, but it is just not a hot button topic for me. But I tell you what is, the 9 IU players, the unprecedented 9 IU players that are going to be involved in this, and the way that some of these guys are reportedly running up the interest meter around here at the NFL Combine. Shout out to Omar Cooper Jr. Omar Cooper Jr.'s status is on such a rise. Remember when he promised we were going to play a little hoop together sometime? I don't think we're going to be doing that anytime soon. I don't think he is going to be allowed to do it. He's on the rise. D'Angelo Pons, as he should be. 9 IU players taking part in the NFL Combine, which is absolutely awesome. Let me tell you this. If I were in one big concrete room, squozing together with a group of radio nerds like this is the place to be right here. This is it. I looked at my right, and Soren Petro in Kansas City's over there entertaining folks, entertaining thousands in Kansas City. Got the Colts, Colts.com, all that. Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts. Charles Arbuckle's over the other side. I could not be squozing into a more appropriate place on a Tuesday. Downtown, we are at the Convention Center, everybody, the NFL Combine 2026. Got a lot more for you, too. Greg Rakestraw at the bottom of the hour. A lot of local flavor going on this weekend with the girls' high school state finals in basketball. We'll talk that up. The sectional parents and the final weekend, if you will, final week, if you will, the boys' regular season. We got that for you coming up on the other side. And a lot of college stuff as well. We're winding down the regular season collegiately. We'll talk to Greg about that and then some coming up here on the other side. Shade Steichen, the head coach of the Colts, at the 4 o'clock hour. Matt Miller's going to join us coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. You as well at 239-1070. Stream the app and HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Hello to everybody watching right there. Thank you very much for doing so. Questions, comments, commentary, all welcome throughout the course of the afternoon. Live from the NFL Combine. This is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here with a great idea. Premier Weight Loss is that great idea. PWLND.com. Thomas and Lauren. I was just up there with Lauren a little bit earlier today. Sam and all my friends at Premier Weight Loss along this entire journey, they have been crucial for me to get to the goals, reach goals, and then try to raise the bar even on those goals. It's been outstanding. If you're looking to start your weight loss journey in 2026, now is a tremendous time to do it. Ask about the other assets they have at Premier Weight Loss as well. I've been going through the electronic toning mechanism that they have. It is working. It is awesome. Skin tightening, Botox, and other assets they have well beyond just your weight loss. If you want to get down that path, now is the time. Seriously, right now into February, great. Because by the time we roll around, it is going to be swimsuit weather for you. And you're going to be looking good thanks to my friends at Premier Weight Loss. Get started on that journey today. That's PWLND.com. If you want to ask me about it, I'll tell you. Further, get all the information you need online right now. PWLND.com. Oh, that is awesome, right? Jerry Baker, Jane shot on the call that goes back to 2010, the 4A title game. Ben Davis over Maryville, and you know that voice very well from the Fever games that we hear. Bria Goss, Ben Davis High School outstanding player, 24-8, and that win went on collegiately just to have a great career. And outstanding, to say the least. Bria Goss right there. And I want to direct you to this, IHSAA, to find those tickets for this weekend. This is going to be can't miss, seriously. So many local teams, so many great storylines. The IHSAA Girls Basketball State Finals presented by the Indiana Fever and the Pacers. Saturday, Cambridge Fieldhouse. I don't even know where to begin. Thus, I will tell you that there's going to be so much interest. Just go ahead and roll down there and enjoy absolutely everything. So many reasons to do it. IHSAA.org today to find those tickets. IHSAA.org. Tell them JMV sent you.
The Ride with JMV.
Just an average guy with exceptional hair.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back, NFL Combine. Thank you guys for joining us as I'm in the midst of all the chaos right here. Shane Steichen is going to join us coming up here in just a bit, 4:30 or so. I think Matt Miller of ESPN, Draft Guru, is going to join us a little bit later on too. And make sure you tell the NBA that the Pacers deserve their $100K back. You guys ever seen the movie Better Off Dead? The movie Better Off Dead with that little kid on the bike who wanted his $2 from delivering the paper. I want my $2. We need to chase around the NBA. We want our $100K back. It's not our $100K, but it's the Pacers' $100K. Get your $100K back. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and medicate? Have you considered medicating your player and running him out there? You're only 30 games below 500, but, hey, it's our integrity. We're worried about our integrity, not about our betting partners. Our integrity. Integrity, everybody. It is classic tomfoolery. Thank you, NBA, for one hell of a Tuesday afternoon. Mentioned Shane Steichen, 4:30. Make sure you're around for that on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Greg Rakestraw joins us now. Hello, Greg. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I know you are loving life at the Combine today.
Can you hear me soaking it up? You know, and we're lucky. This is a really fortunate year because we're so lucky to be – they put us all closer together now, which is even better.
I heard there was some cowbell carrying over from a different radio station earlier today on the morning show.
Oh, was there probably?
Yes.
Anytime I talk in here, like 19 different people turn and look.
Well, that's
because we're right on top.
Audience, John. That's a good thing.
Well, here's what's funny about it, and this is how I equate it. You've seen the movie Titanic, right?
I have, yes.
So you had all the upper crust, that went to dinners and had chandeliers and butlers and maids. That's TV on the other side. We're in steerage right here.
Yeah.
Radio is in steerage right now. And I don't know. I'm assuming that's the NFL, but I did when I saw Chris Gall down here, so I conveniently blamed him.
Is that why you played that rejoiner coming out, the exceptional hair? Was that for Chris Gall?
It's for Chris Gall right there. I said, hey, Chris, thanks a lot over here. This is fun.
His hair is
I did that
exquisite,
purposely.
by the way.
It is, man. No doubt about that. Hey, I did mention I had the IHSAA read with Bria Goss as we brought you on board here. This could be one of the better Saturdays in girls' state finals history. Is that too much to say?
I think all of the games will be very well attended. I think all of the games will be very competitive. Bria probably played what my guess is you were doing the read for the 2009 4A championship. Is that correct?
I think it was 2010, I think. 2011, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
The reason that I bring up 2009 is that was the year that they played at Lucas Oil because that was kind of the test pilot, I think, for I think it was the first basketball play there. Then the regional final was there, like where Louisville crushed Arizona. And then the next year was the Final Four. So they were kind of the guinea pigs. Were playing in Lucas Oil, and they had all these amazing games. And it was Ben Davis versus South Bend, Washington, Skylar Diggins, and et cetera. That's probably one of the best days in girls basketball history in the state. I'm not sure if the talent on the floor will match that, but in terms of crowds and competitive nature, I think this Saturday could be pretty doggone good.
I do too. What stands out to you as far as the matchups are concerned, Greg?
Just everything is so even, and you've got 3 games where I wouldn't say form has held because only one number 1 ranked team made it to state, and that would be Roncalli. But all the games would be very competitive. 2A is the game where neither team's a top 10 team. Oak Hill was ranked number 12. Pekin Eastern wasn't even ranked, going into the postseason. You've got neighbors that have made the trip. Eastern and Borden are separated by 6.1 miles. Literally, the county line is what divides the school district between the two, and they have both made it. And you've got 2 conferences that have 2 teams that have both made it. The Northeast 8 is represented in Belmont and Norwell, and my beloved Southern Athletic Conference has sent 2 to the championship game in the aforementioned Musketeers and Braves. So there's some familiarity there. There's some conference familiarity there. But you've also got some largely different teams. And then the other storyline, John, is that Norwell is playing in the state championship for a 3rd consecutive year, and they're a 3A school that is playing up in 4A. They largely return their entire team. Vanessa Rossworm is their best player. She's going to play at Indiana Wesleyan. She potentially could be Indiana's Miss Basketball and not playing at a Division I school. Their head coach, Eric Thornton, just won his 500th game at Norwell on Sunday. Not to mention Center Grove might go undefeated. So as you can tell, Johnny, I got a few things talked about in the Saturday night broadcast.
Yeah, no doubt. The CG thing is going to be awesome. Yeah, just watching them and knowing a lot of the girls and what Kevin and his staff has done with that team. And then Coach Sims and knowing him very well, Roncalli, and you mentioned that they were number 1 and they've legitimized that. But man, what a great South Side. You look at Center Grove, you look at Roncalli. That's been a hell of a season.
It has been, and what's unique about Roncalli is that Elliot Leffler may end up being the only player from Roncalli that goes on to play college basketball. But they've got 2 key players going to play college volleyball in Reagan Turk and Lydia Staley. But that is kind of the carryover from what they have done from a volleyball standpoint that maybe has helped lead to success on the basketball court. Again, not taking anything away from what they do basketball-wise. They're rated number 1 for a reason. But it is good to see the multi-sport kids getting it done for Roncalli.
So Greg Rakestraw is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We're live from the NFL Combine. So IU Northwestern tips off down in Bloomington later on tonight at 7 o'clock. 93 WIBC, your coverage begins at 6. Listen, he may have been overrated. He may not be ready consistently for that level. But can you at all explain to me the thought process with Darren DeVries and just nothing but mop-up minutes for Trent Sisley? Because I'm sorry, until further notice, that makes 0 sense.
Well, clearly, and you're not the only one that I hear this from, of a Southern Indiana persuasion. I think there is more grief being given to Darren DeVries about the not playing of Sisley than, say, any sort of success lack thereof or comparison to Kurt Signetti and what the football team has done. I think most folks are generally okay or kind of understand where this Indiana basketball team is. I don't think there's a lot of pressure on Darren after year number one about kind of being a borderline NCAA tournament team. People are a lot more pissed off about Trent Sisley not getting to play more so than seemingly anything else. And I don't know Darren well enough to give you a great answer on that. I know it is tougher and tougher for freshmen to play major minutes because it is so often the guys that are 4-, 5-, and 6-year players that are getting more minutes. But obviously this has become a sticking point for a significant portion of the Indiana fan base.
I'll start right here. I don't think you have to be a coach at a high level whatsoever to realize that you've got some personnel right now are not performing at a level. So why not put this guy in? I look at it that way, and I look at it as you're down 30, put him in. What's it matter?
Right.
You don't have to be John Wooden Jr. as a coach to understand that.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you on that front. So, again, clearly you're starting to antagonize members of your fan base that are looking for something to latch onto, and I think generally have given you a free pass because they're all still in the afterglow of how good football has been, and because they got a couple of wins that likely should carry them to the NCAA tournament, and that was the expectation. But by not playing Sisley, what you've now done is kind of opened up another offseason of criticism, which seems to be the norm for IU basketball.
I will say this. You're 100% right, and I was going to bring that up as well. This would be, and not so much even the Sisley thing, but just the makeup of this team and some of the inconsistencies would be a higher level of criticism had it not been for the euphoric nature still with Hoosier Nation from a national championship, and that's rightly so, but that is absolutely the truth.
And again, I think they largely have been okay, and I still think that 2 weeks out, I guess 3 weeks out at this point, 2 weeks of regular season, 1 week of Big Ten tournament, do I think Indiana's an NCAA tournament team? Yes. Do I think they're a second week of the NCAA tournament team? Absolutely not. But what do I think was going to be, quote, good enough for this team this year? Just make the tournament. And that I think they will do. But again, I don't think you have this warm and fuzzy feeling just yet about the men's basketball program.
Boilermakers ran roughshod over IU second time around on Friday. Michigan State is the third and final of 3 straight at Mack Arena in West Lafayette coming up on Thursday. Are they rectifying things a little bit right there from some of the disappointment that we had witnessed, or is it still kind of the same, and are we going to view this coming up on Thursday as a test of even more legitimacy, if that's fair to say?
I think we kind of know what this group is, and that is that they are very good, but I'm not sure they're great. And obviously I've been on the air with you saying, hey, listen, let me know what you're doing on March 15th. And kind of after the Michigan game, I don't want to say that reconfirms it, but that probably answers the question of maybe is there a ceiling for this group? Now, Michigan went and got beat by Duke on Saturday, and do I think if Purdue and Michigan play in the Big Ten tournament, can Purdue beat them? Yeah. If those two teams play in the NCAA tournament, can Purdue beat them? Yeah, I think they can. I'm not sure they're going to. So Michigan State is another good test for them. But again, I think I have an idea what this Purdue team is, and now it's just about how and whom you match up with once you get to that second weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Butler Bulldogs, quick note on that as well. What needs to be done? Is it all financial and obviously getting more talent in, which means more financial, but what can they do to make a quick turnaround, outside of some of the drastic measures a lot of people suggest they should take?
Go to bank. Repeat. I mean, that's what this, can there be some that can find a way, I want to say, to game the system? But is it still possible for a great coach to have a team make a run without having the resources? Of course it is. But to build a consistent winner and to compete at the top of the Big East is going to take more money. And I know some of the folks behind the scenes that are working on that, and I have faith in them. I would say there was a significant financial investment that was made this year. But the way the system works now, it's about the cash register, man, and about trying to add to it. But what I will say is this: Butler is not, will not, and should not be thinking about doing anything else than playing in the Big East. The difference in playing in the Big East versus even the A-10, which is all of, I think, 2 leagues difference in terms of ranking the conference. I think at the last chance I look at the metrics, I think the Big East rated as the 5th toughest conference, and the A-10 was rated as the 7th toughest conference. But literally, the average, RPI position of a team in the A-10, or net ranking, I should say, the average net ranking of a team in the A-10 was double what it is in the Big East. And again, because of the students that Butler has been able to attract, being in the Big East, that is where they are going to be. If you want to be competitive, it is all about fundraising, as simple as that.
All right, Greg, in closing, again, tout all the games. I'm sure you've got more than just you've mentioned so far. Where are you going to be?
Let's see. This starts a streak of 8 consecutive days where I'm calling a game. So Crispus Attucks and Carmel tonight. There's a Terre Haute visit that's in the middle of that streak. It goes all the way to the sectional doubleheader opener at Noblesville next Tuesday night.
I'm going to be in Terre Haute on Sunday, matter of fact.
Well, I'm calling the game in Terre Haute on Sunday. Should we carpool?
I'll be over there. I'm doing whatever they do before the game, ringing the bell.
Are you doing the Sycamore Signal? Is that you?
That's me, buddy. That is me.
Okay, now, I know that you're already legally deaf, but to protect whatever hearing you have left, some earplugs might be. That thing's pretty damn loud before the game, just so you know.
You got that. I'll be ready. I'll probably be a couple of beers in, too. Who knows, Greg? So I'll be all ready to go. Who knows?
I mean, they've got Sycamore Cream Ale these days. You're just being a good alum by being a couple of beers in. And by the way, have you recalibrated your not only your drinking habits, but knowing that you weigh 90 less pounds, have you started to figure out what that does to your tolerance? Have you already computed that math in your head?
I'm a low-calorie. I basically drink yellow water, Greg. That's basically what I drink.
I was with some friends having some Mick Ultra Zero today at lunch. I understand completely what you're saying.
That's me, buddy. I appreciate it. Hey, have a great rest of the week. I appreciate you very much, as always.
See you Sunday.
Greg Rakestraw, the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. I will be over there. I think ISU and UIC is that matchup. Northwestern Indiana later on tonight. That's on 93 WIBC, tip time 7. 6 o'clock coverage begins on 93 WIBC. You get the Pacers in Philadelphia here at the Fieldhouse later on tonight. Give the Pacers back their $100K, NBA. Refund. Hashtag refund for the Pacers. That's the least you can do for this level of stupidity and botched fine in the first place. Refund. What was it, breaking away? James, see if you can get from breaking away the breaking away quote, refund. Classic 1979 Bloomington, Indiana film, Breaking Away. Refund their $100K, NBA. Goodness. Shane Steichen is going to join us coming up at 4:30. Time for your calls on the other side. Text lines open 317-239-1070 as well. And James will have to tell me if we have anything to give away because I'm not quite sure we do. I'm at the Combine. This is Radio Row of the Combine. 2026 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Great idea for you, the District Tap. Did I mention there's hoopage going on at the Fieldhouse? Post up at the District Tap. I'm going to tell all my radio bros in this room right now that they need to go to the District Tap. I know Petro right next to me is going to go to the District Tap, and he'll run him out of beer because he's from Kansas City. That's what he does right there. District Tap downtown, just a block from the field house. Post up there before you head over to the field house to watch tonight's game, and then double back for a little post-gamer. What's a Tuesday night without the District Tap downtown? How about the North Side, Clearwater Crossing, 2 District Tap locations to serve you. Damn good food. You're going to have TVs everywhere. You're going to not miss a second of any action at the District Tap. To find out about the live music, the event space, private event rooms, all that and more you got for your parties, thedistricttap.com.
The Ride with JMV.
It's called Sex Panther by Odeon. It's illegal in 9 countries.
It's quite pungent. It stings the nostrils.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All I want is a refund.
Refund? Refund? Are you crazy? Refund? 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 Refund?
Easy, Ray.
Refund?
Refund.
Refund, NBA. $100K. Back to the Pacers. Stat. You owe them for this ridiculousness. If you missed Rick Carlisle this morning, that was so great. Just, by the way, and he didn't say it, this is my words, not his. Oh, by the way, this is what these dipsticks did and tried to do. This is what they did. That's just classic right there. We're live on Radio Row, NFL Combine 2026, where Shane Steichen's going to be here coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. I'm trying to convince people around here. I'm next to the Kansas City station, WHB, and our good friend Soren Petro, who, by the way, if you don't know Soren Petro, he plays more in and around Lawrence, Kansas than Darren Peterson does. You can count on him more than Darren Peterson. That's a true story right there. Although Jayhawks did win last night over Houston, 69-56. 239-1070 is that number. Hey, Jimmy, jump on here really quick. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, JMV? How are you, my friend?
How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing great, thank you. Hey, two things real quick. One, I totally agree with you on your Pacers case about
give him a refund, Jimmy.
Adam Silver needs to get his head out of it, you know what, and give him a refund. So, but also I wanted to ask you a Purdue question, if you don't mind.
Sure, buddy.
What's your take on this? I heard you talk to Greg a minute ago, and he said, that Purdue is who they are now, and I agree with him. But how? What's your take on the game Thursday night against Michigan State? I think Purdue is going to need to step it up, and I think Braden and Fletcher, if Fletcher and Omar Meyer can shoot the way they did against Indiana, Michigan State can be in for a long night. And also, I wanted to let you know, if you need a Michigan State connection for your show, just text me. My godfather is the radio broadcaster for Michigan State.
Oh, well, I think we've talked about that, buddy, before. That's excellent.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for the content.
Matt so, yeah. You probably remember the name Matt Settinger. So,
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I remember him playing back in the day, too. Absolutely.
Yeah, he had a stint with the Bulls, and he actually has a reigning NBA World Championship ring, so pretty cool. But, hey, John, you have a great day, my friend. Take care.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy, for that. So, hey, Nick, what did they say? Can you read that for me? The NBA responded to Rick Carlisle's. Here's what the NBA had to say. This is from Scott Agnes of Fieldhouse Files. Quote, Coach Carlisle's description of the process that went into the decision to find the Indiana Pacers is inaccurate. An independent physician led the medical review. In addition, the Pacers general manager and team senior vice president of sports medicine and performance were interviewed as part of the process. The Pacers confirmed that it had provided all of the information requested by the league, and the team reported that an interview with Coach Carlisle or a team physician wasn't necessary. Oh, I love it. Give me a little soap opera right here. You know who I'm going to believe, don't you? You know who I'm going to believe on this? I'll put it up to you. Who do you believe? But I'm telling you where I am going to side on it. I'm sorry. The NBA, it's all about the betting partnership here. That's where it leads. We'll see what happens. Shout out to Rick Carlisle for starting this little nugget during Combine Week. That's nice. Pacers, Sixers later on tonight. We'll take a break, come back. Mike in Brooklyn's going to lead on the other side, and Shea Steichen's going to be here around about 4:30. NFL Combine 2026 with Matt Miller of ESPN in the 5 o'clock hour. Back with the latest on the NBA's response to this, too. We got you next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for Andy Moore, Buick GMC, 131st, State Road 37 in Fishers. It is the best car buying experience you're going to have. And I know a lot of you have positioned yourself to get a new ride for 2026, hey, now's the time. Here's why. You have triple threat. This is a basketball term I'm going to use right here. You guys ever get into the triple threat for basketball? Triple threat in terms of the greatest car buying experience out there. Eric Wilson's a big basketball fan, so he'll get this right away. So part of that triple threat, you got the inventory. So you're going to find what you're looking for right then and right there. Another part of that would be the service after the sale. That's the tail end to make sure the life of your vehicle is not just maintained, but you raise the bar on that. And in between, we're talking about incentives to buy. Those are coupons to help you save on your vehicle buying experience all in one place. Triple threat basketball position. That's what you're going to find, my friend Eric Wilson, and Indiana's best. Your car buying experience is one-stop shopping at Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
Hey, you gonna stare all day or you gonna buy something?
I'm gonna stare all day.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back to the NFL Combine 2026. Shane Steichen is going to be here at 4:30. That's, by the way, the Colts head coach. Coming up at 4:30, Matt Miller of ESPN Draft Guru. James with new attitude right there. The NBA response, again, to Rick Carlisle's comments this morning on the morning show, it is great. But, yeah, good luck. Good luck with proving yourself. I still think this is the most savvy. And, you know, the one thing that wasn't mentioned in all that, actually, there were a couple of things, but the one thing that wasn't mentioned was, you know, asking the pace, well, did you think about medicating him to sending out there for a team that's, you know, close to 30 games under 500? The NBA statement regarding Rick's comments this morning as follows. If you missed me hitting that, and I'm going to get to the calls after this, but I didn't want to recap that as we start a new hour here. As follows, quote, Coach Carlisle's description of the process that went into the decision to fine the Indiana Pacers is inaccurate. An independent physician led the medical review. In addition, the Pacers general manager, they're blaming Chad Buchanan. We can't have that on our watch. The Pacers general manager and the team's senior vice president, sports medicine and performance, were interviewed as a part of the process. The Pacers confirmed that it had provided all of the information requested by the league, and the team reported that an interview with Coach Carlisle or a team physician wasn't necessary. So, all right, what about the asking if Neesmith can be run out there after being medicated? Where's the lawyer in this? Where's the lawyer advising that they run an injured player out there? Where's all that? Where's all that? Where's the response to that? Is there any more to this? You can't just blame our guy Chad Buchanan and mosey on about your day on our watch. Again, we all know what this is about. And this is a response that I think everybody felt that was going to happen. It is a cover-your-ass response by the NBA. What is it again? As I've mentioned, it is reactionary. There's nothing proactive about it. There's nothing been proactive about this. The NBA's been reactionary to all of this tanking stuff. They reacted to their betting partners, and they reacted to the national outcry of something has to be done. I can't believe these teams are doing it. What about the integrity? When in the past they haven't cared one stinking ounce about the the Philadelphia 76ers, which, by the way, ironically enough, are in town later on tonight. They want gone through like a 10-year suck process, a process of suck. Yeah, and they named it. We got a process of tanking. We're gonna do this. We just can't get it right with our process. The process of tanking. This is classic, and that is classic cover your ass stuff right there from the NBA. If you missed any of it, we'll double back, and I'm sure get to that over the course of the afternoon. I say Shane Steichen's going to join us, the Colts head coach, coming up at the bottom of the hour. He and Chris Ballard, the general manager, meet with the media coming up here just a little bit later on. In fact, bottom of the hour, they'll be down here at the NFL Combine at the Convention Center. Thank you all so much for joining us. And again, a shout-out, Derek Schultz, who was in for me yesterday. Appreciate that very much. How else could I get it? Those that have mentioned you're going to go see some dude named Excision, you need to get some earplugs. And my first thought was, why do I need earplugs? I'm pretty much deaf anyway. There was a great reason why it was necessary for me to have earplugs. Excision shout out in Cincinnati. That was a good time last night. I'm not likely to do that again, although I have seen Wooly and now Excision. I think I'm becoming an EDM guy. This is like EDM. EDM is electronic dance music, and you would know that most notably as far as mainstream, like Calvin Harris, the Chainsmokers. This is a higher level. This is like hard rock EDM. This is a different layer. This is like we have hard rock and you have metal and you have thrash metal. This is a higher level of EDM. And it is loud for sure. But a shout-out to Excision and a shout-out to Derek Schultz, who was in for me yesterday as I took my son Blake over there to Cincinnati yesterday to check that show out. But back with you live at the Combine, just in time for my favorite event, the NFL Combine. I should also mention IU Northwestern later on tonight down in Bloomington. That tip time's at 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock, your coverage, 93 WIBC. The Pacers and Sixers, too. That tip time tonight is at 7. 6:30 coverage begins. That's tonight here with Pat Boylan from the Fieldhouse, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Meantime, Matt Miller, ESPN, Shane Steichen, head coach of the Colts, still to come, 239-1070. That number, text line's wide open, 317-239-1072. Let me go ahead and get to Mike in Brooklyn, New York. Hello, Mike. How are you?
What's up, JMV?
the combine is the unofficial start to the season, turn the page time, and as usual, the way I'm looking at it, it's just a convoluted mess that they got going on their hands there, because the only way for this to work, because I always have to be optimistic, is you have to make long-term commitments, long-term decisions with these players, but you have a regime that's on the shortest of leashes, and starting right at the very top with Daniel Jones now. You're going to commit to a 3 or 4 year, $100 and whatever $million contract, because that's the only way you're going to retain him. And you're not sure if, Steichen or Ballard are going to be there beyond this year. And plus you got to go out and sign, free agents, which you're going to have to pay them. You're going to have to reorganize your own roster, extend some players. So I think Ballard's a convoluted mess. What's your take on it?
I think here's what matters to me, and I know there's a lot of emphasis, Mike, because this is where we are to the combine. But without a first-round selection, I don't think any of this matters right now. And you mentioned you're going into a season what looks to be a lame duck situation here. And to me, first of all, you have to have a healthy Daniel Jones, because he's the guy that you're going to, quote, run this back with. There's no doubt about that. So you have to have a healthy Daniel Jones. The other aspect is you're going to have guys on this team perform, because you just don't have the capability now of leaning on what you normally might. Watching guys come together and look at them. You're going to draft guys for the future. You're doing – it is next year. I don't even know if I have too much, Mike, of a viewpoint past next year. I don't know. Have you looked ahead past next year? Because I haven't looked ahead. If you are, we should already be into 2 years down the road, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that's it. You're looking at next year, and the only way to make it work, because I always would have to say, okay, let's go for it, and you're going to have to make all these big money. You're going to have to go get some free agent guys, because you don't have the draft, and you're going to have to actually release players, because on this is an old team. They need to offload players. If you want to take Ballard at his word for we got to get younger and faster, then, on the defensive side of the ball, then what are you going to do? Is Michael Pittman going to take a reduced contract because he's overpaid? And you got to get rid of guys, like long-term guys that haven't done anything. Like, Jair Franklin's got to go. I mean, the Grover Stewarts, Kenny Moores, these are all luxury players. Even Buckner, these guys, they're making too much money at their age. And now they're talking about you want to bring in a guy like Trey Hendrickson as a pass rusher. He's 31 years old. You're going to pay $20 million for him? So it's
I will tell you this, for a team that's got a lot of fingers crossed for next year, it does what you just said would make a lot of sense considering their position. I'm not suggesting it makes sense long term at all, because I think you're right about that. But it makes sense short term. It makes sense going into next year, because you are ultimately, with this organization, you are what you're going to be next year. Or at least you should, unless we all see new ground broken after next year, which I don't know if I'd hold my breath on that or not. I don't think that's too much to assume at this point, is it?
I mean, I always have to, now that the decision is made, I always have to look. I can't go into a season saying, okay, I want to tank. I just can't do it with the Colts. I've never done it. But now you're going to, like I said, you're going to sign Daniel Jones to a 3 or 4 year deal for 150, 160, whatever, $70 million. You're committed to him. I mean, Anthony Richardson, I'm assuming they're going to that's the thing I'm interested in, seeing what Ballard is going to get for Richardson, because he got a third-round pick for Carson Wentz a few years ago, which I was amazed. So, let's see if Ballard can, if he can get anything up in the 4th, 5th-round range for Anthony Richardson, because you got to move on from him, and you're kind of stuck with his money the way I'm reading it. So I don't know. You got to re-sign Alec Pierce. For me, the only guys that you got to re-sign, Alec Pierce. You either got to sign Jones and then tag one of the other guys. And I think Nick Cross is a guy that you got to bring back, because he's 24 years old and he's productive and he's durable. You can't have dead weight on your team like older guys that are good players and that are, like the Kenny Moores, the Buckners, DeForest Buckner is coming off a very serious neck injury. He's making big money. Grover Stewart is a one technique nose tackle. You can't pay them. Franklin is one of the lowest graded linebackers in the league. He's got to go. You can't pay the money to him that he's going to be wanting. So I don't know.
So if we're talking about cap casualties right here, where do we start? You start with Michael Pittman Jr., Kenny Moore,
I mean,
Zaire Franklin.
If he wants to be realistic, sometimes these guys they overvalue themselves. If he wants to, I don't think that they want to mess with the offense. So if you want to restructure him down to more of like $15, $16 million range, if he's willing to do
I'd
it.
buy that. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna have to. You can extend Quentin Nelson. Restructure it so that you lower the cap hit for next year. Even Jonathan Taylor is in the last year of his deal. You're going to give him an extension and lower his number for 1 year, and then you're going to be stuck with these guys in the long term. Just like they did with Buckner. So for me, the guys on defense. Zaire Franklin has got to go because I have no interest in that guy. He's not a leader. He's not productive. If they bring Zaire Franklin back, then the whole thing is a joke as far as I'm concerned. Grover Stewart's been a good player, but he's old. These guys are old. Kenny Moore's been a good player, but he's a nickel corner. He's old. They looked even better when Chris Lamons was playing last year. It's time to go. You got to get younger and faster. Okay, you got to go get younger and faster players. The only thing that they do have going for them is Ballard actually does a pretty good job drafting in the later rounds. So, he's going to have to really find players in the later rounds and, just like he found the Grover Stewarts and everything. But it's, like I said at the top, it's a convoluted mess. And I guess we got nothing better than
listen, and this is what we're soaking in right now. But I would have to ask you before I let you go here, is this all hinges on really one thing. And I'm going to start the conversation with Shane Steichen on when in the world is your going to be back and healthy and ready to go. I think, and to play off of that, if you wanted to add an extra layer to that, is do you feel confident in counting on somebody that has not shown that the durability has been there? Because this whole thing is a wing and a prayer. Like, these guys are going to talk tomorrow to Chris Ballard. I know Ballard's going to be out here a little bit later on. I don't know at this point what you ask Chris. What can he say? What is there for him to say anymore? It is so much ado because we've heard absolutely every conceivable angle. There is nothing left to say from him.
Yep. Yeah, the Daniel Jones aspect, having been here in New York, in the back of my head, I'm saying, this is what the Giants did. They took very, very little. They took a leap of faith because they liked Daniel Jones. They loved the kid. And the coach, apparently, he's a great guy in the team, on the organization and everything. And he's a hard worker. But that's what the Giants did. They based it on that. And like you said, the guy has not been able to stay healthy. And you're going to talk about a guy who's coming off an Achilles injury that is very tricky. I think you could say reasonably hope that, okay, he's going to be back, at the end of camp and maybe start the season, but you can't count on it. So everything is up in the air, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, well, it is anyway. This is a wing and a prayer season like we've never seen here. And we've had a few that would be, I think, described as such, but this is going to be one like we've not seen around here because so much has to fall into place.
Like you, JMV. I guess I go. Yeah, I gotta level me out.
And you're gonna have to join my world because I hate the fact with the Pacers right now that I've got to glorify entertaining losses.
Yeah.
And I hate every ounce of that. But I will say this. Because of what they have gone through this season with all these the Pacers, even with the protected deal and even with moving and getting Zubats back in that trade, they're deserving of a lottery selection. Now, did they put it up there as a gamble? Absolutely. But you have nothing left but to give yourself the best opportunity. I'm talking about for your organization and for your fan base. That's who you owe. You don't owe – the NBA can kiss it. They can smooch it. You owe your organization and your fan base to do what is best for both. And I just felt that's what the Pacers are doing. It's not like they're compromising. And I think that's kind of the aspect, too. There's a bit of a similarity I think you could take to the Colts as well. You and this is something for Carly Ursay Gordon to answer one of these days. You got to do what is best for the organization and the fan base. And is this it? Is this it?
Yep. I always listen. I always felt like these leagues, not only the NBA, the NFL. I mean, I think it should just be like a straight up lottery. Just if you got the worst pick, you get you put the ping pong balls in, and you got the worst pick, you get the most balls. You got the second worst record, you get the second most balls, and that'll eliminate much of what they would refer to with tanking. Just make it just a lottery, a regular lottery.
Yeah. It's funny, Mike. I've mentioned this a little bit earlier. I felt that now that what Rick Carlisle said this morning on the morning show, they're going to be Teflon in terms of being fined again with whatever they do. But I think it also can be said of, all right, so what are the odds now that they're not even close to getting a top four, considering what is happening right now? So you can kind of look at this, I guess, two different ways as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. I mean, I think the leagues really should stay out of it because, it's been going on for so long. I mean, I remember in the '90s when I was rooting for the Colts to get the first pick in '91 and '92. I was rooting for them, and I was rooting for Tampa Bay to lose. So, I mean, this has been going on forever in all these leagues. So, for them to now all of a sudden it's like a big thing. It's like, well,
hell, for a decade, they made shirts in Philadelphia for a decade. The process.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, brother. I appreciate you. We'll see what Shane has to say here at the bottom of the hour.
Enjoy your combine stint there. I'll be listening.
I love it, buddy. Thank you very much. I'm a big Combine fan, as you guys well know right here. The NFL Combine 2026. Shane Steichen is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. We probably will at some point. I want to make sure that when they come by, I know that they haven't been up in front of the local media or the assembled media just yet. Good to see Charles Arbuckle. He is here from the Colts Radio Network as well. Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts, is over there. He's setting up equipment. I love, Nick, you need to set it up like Matt Taylor did. He put a coat and then a clamp and a camera. That is ingenuity. That's like MacGyver-like ingenuity from the voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor right there. And well done, without a doubt. Now, but we're here one day only for me, and I'll be honest with you, the only reason I'm here is because Shane Steichen's going to come on here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Even though I love it. I do love it here, but I would not be here otherwise. I know the morning show is going to be here, I think, the rest of the week, and I will tell you that both Kevin Bowen and James Boyd love this. So they love it, and they're going to be soaking it up the remainder of the week. This is my only day here for you guys. All right, 239-1070 is that number. The email address is jmv@1075thefan.com. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. This does create some storylines, but I'm sorry. I find the Carlisle NBA stuff to be much more interesting. And I'm not trying to downplay an upcoming conversation whatsoever, but, what is Chris going to say that's going to make any difference right now? And you might be able to equate that to Shane as well, but Shane is not in the tenure category as Chris. But when you're up there, for example, right over where the podium is for both Colts head coach and general manager, when you're talking to Chris or when they're talking to Chris in the morning show tomorrow, it's going to be interesting, the line of Q&A, because what more can be said? What more can be asked? Really, the biggest part about this is it's going to be when your quarterback is going to be back. That's the biggest, because you have no alternatives after that. That's it. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, what about Riley Leonard? Look at the alternative this past year. The alternative was to pull out a guy my age and Phillip Rivers and play him immediately. So you have no alternative. That's where this whole thing really starts and ends, with the health. And how quickly do you get him back and up and running again? And then further down the road, you can just ask about, is he going to be able to maintain? Now, some of the other questions that are obvious to, I'm sure, Chris and for me and Shane is that of Charvarius Ward. Have they had an indication on whether or not he plans on returning? Because certainly that was cloudy within question in the exit interviews they did at the end of the regular season for the Colts for their high-dollar cornerback. That and DeForest Buckner, the neck injury, Michael Pittman Jr. I do happen to agree. To me, you have to keep together as much as possible. It goes without saying regarding Alec Pierce. You either franchise tag him. You have to do whatever you do to bring him back. But in terms of what Mike and Brooklyn just had to say, I would agree. I don't think you compromise any of the aspects of this offense whatsoever. Even if you believe that Michael Pittman Jr. is getting overpaid, what are you going to do instead of? Who are you going to bring in instead of? So my point is, you don't compromise the offense at all, considering all these circumstances going into 2026 and this offseason and free agency that's upcoming as well. That and more with Shane Steichen is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Matt Miller is going to join us from ESPN. I am interested, as far as the combine is concerned, for the 9 IU guys that are going to be a part of this. That is really awesome. We'll get the points of one Matt Miller coming up here a little bit later on. A couple of things. Northwestern IU, Bloomington. Tip time 7, 6 o'clock, 93 WIBC, voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher, and his coverage. And then right here you have the Sixers and the Pacers tonight. 7:30, check that, sorry. 7 o'clock is the tip time, 6:30. Your coverage begins right here on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan, we are live on Radio Row. This is the NFL Combine of 2026. And when we return, we will await the head coach of the Colts, Shane Steichen, for a conversation. That's next, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Hey, John here for QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. 2 locations, Greenwood and 1 in Carmel. Got me back on track. Chronic knee pain hampered me from doing what I love to do, and QC Kinetics has helped that out and then some. They can help you if you qualify. Give them a call today, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN for QC Kinetics. I have never felt better, and that is thanks to QC Kinetics. Again, give them a call to see if you qualify today. 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN. That's QC Kinetics. 2 locations in Greenwood, 1 in Carmel. 317-559-PAIN. Tell them JMV sent you.
The Ride with JMV.
Awesome! Totally awesome! All right, Hamilton.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back to Radio Row, the NFL Combine. If you're watching via YouTube Live right now, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, we got videos because we've got the head coach of the Colts, Shane Steichen, with us right now. So you're doing this show first, is that what I hear?
That's right.
Wow. Was that your call or somebody else's call?
It's our famous PR,
Matt Conti over there making that call. So how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good to have you back. A lot of questions. Now, as far as the seasons are concerned, getting into this one right now, do you have more questions here than other seasons, or is this kind of the same level?
I think every year you go through your process, your off-season process, going through the draft, going through free agency, getting ready for the players to come back in, and always adapting and finding ways to get better there. But I'm very excited and optimistic about this upcoming season.
What is the timeline from what you know on Daniel Jones? Now, first, you got to get him back, and I'm assuming he's coming back. That's my assumption here. But let's assume he comes back. What is the timeline on him to be ready
I
to
don't know
go?
if there's an exact timeline, but obviously, we'd like to have him back. I think there's mutual interest there on both sides. So we're working through that right now, and we'll see where it goes.
How much dialogue have you guys had with him?
Chris and his staff handle that with his agents. I let them do that part of it, and so we're talking to them now.
Has he told you that this is the spot he would like to be?
Yeah, I think there's mutual interest there on both sides.
So Shane Steichen, who is with us, did that completely mess up what was going so well last year, that injury? And we saw it get worse, obviously, but could you see it when it really started to hamper and compromise not just Daniel Jones, but the offense itself midseason?
Yeah, I think anytime there's injuries, obviously you got to overcome those injuries. But, credit to Daniel, playing on a broken leg for those weeks that he did. And then obviously he had the Achilles injury. He was playing winning football for us, at a high level, though.
Did that change up your offense at all?
We tried to keep it as consistent as possible during that time, and obviously, the Achilles was a big part of it there. But those couple weeks there, obviously, he was dealing with that. He was playing with it, and he was still playing good football.
Did you ever look down at the playbook and go, "Wow, because of his situation, I don't think we should go with this"? Did it compromise your play calling at all?
There's a few things here and there, but we tried to keep it as consistent as possible.
How important is Alec Pierce to this? Another free agent, and you said behind the scenes, Chris and his staff, they're working on that. But how important is he to the process of this offense to play at a high level?
I think it's very important. I think what Alec did last year, going for over 1,000 yards receiving, and he's continued to get better and improve. To get him back would be huge for our football team as well.
What have you seen from him that has most impressed you about the evolution of his career, just individually speaking?
I think the way he works and the way he goes about, running his routes and his craft and getting better every day. He's always working on something to get better, in and out of breaks. Obviously, we know he can, go deep and go get the 50-50 ball. And I think even those 50-50 balls over the years have become, those 70-10 balls to where he's going to making those plays. But coming out of his breaks, the intermediate routes, the shallow crossers, the speed, the acceleration that he has to open up our offense to be explosive down the field has been huge for us.
He was known for such a long time as just a home run type of guy. How do you view him now?
I still think he is that, for sure. There's no doubt about that. He ain't losing that part of his game. But I think the intermediate stuff, the in-cuts, the comebacks, the one-on-ones on the outside, like I said, I think his game is just continuing to evolve year in and year out. And I think Reggie does a hell of a job with him in the receiver room, getting him ready to do those things. And I think that's huge.
Did you know that Daniel Jones was going to fit in early portions of the season, again, before that injury? He did. But did you know with your offense and what he brought to the table that he was going to fit the way that he did?
Yeah, just watching what he did in New York. Obviously, he had a big year there that 1 year, did some good things. Obviously, his completion percentage, completing 65% career is huge, and that's part of it, completing footballs up and down the field. And then you hear about, before we signed him last year, just the vetting process and going through that, the intelligent level, his football IQ, and then getting him in the building in the spring and seeing it, live in person and how he went about his business and worked. And then obviously through training camp with the competition with him and Anthony. And then obviously it came to fruition, this year for him.
So Shane Steichen is with us on Radio Row at the NFL Combine. Do you expect Anthony Richardson on this team next year?
Yeah, I think that here, Anthony, you know, what he did with everything through training camp, really proud of the way he went about his business. You know, obviously had an unfortunate situation with the eye, and so we'll see what the future holds for him.
How is his situation with that eye right
Yeah, it's
now?
progressing well. It's progressing well.
Is it back to normal, or is it still not quite to where it was?
Yeah, I think it's progressing well right now is where it's at.
Has there ever been anything like that situation that he went through that you've seen? I'm assuming you've seen a lot over your years.
Yeah, haven't seen that one. It was a freak, accident, obviously in the locker room before the game. Just a very unfortunate situation that, you know, you couldn't make up, to be honest. It was a tough situation for everyone in the locker room when it happened because he was working so hard and doing so many good things, and then that happened to him. So obviously we're just hoping for a clear recovery with that.
So Shane Steichen is with us. Have you had any indicator whether or not Charvarius Ward is going to be in
Yeah,
this
you know,
season?
he's had some serious concussions, obviously, you know, 3, but had very good, you know, talks with him. And so, you know, he's in a good place right now.
Sauce Gardner had mentioned during the Super Bowl, I think on Radio Row, that when he first made a team meeting, or at least initially when he was with you guys, he got fined for being late. And I don't know if you've heard this story or not, but is this true? He was fined for being late to a meeting. Was that kind of the introduction to him with the team?
Well, yeah, I think just with anything, I have 2 team rules, you know, be on time and treat people with respect. And when guys are late, if they do show up late, obviously they get fined, and that's how we go about our business.
So you have Gardner, and let's just say if you have Ward, that secondary-wise, how much, if you can get all that back together, do you think that is elite level?
It's
NFL
elite level
wise?
for sure. I mean, you got a 24-year-old, you know, all-pro, and then Mooney Ward was an all-pro at one point in his career too, and so 2 elite corners at that position. So obviously we get those guys playing together at a high level. It could be really special.
Was it tough because we just didn't see enough from Sauce Gardner? Is it
Yeah,
tough
I mean,
to
I
see
think,
how he fits considering how much
for
time
sure.
he
I think
got?
obviously he played the one game against Atlanta and Germany, and then obviously had the calf injury, and then came back for a little bit there at the end. But we know what he did in New York, and so he's an elite player, and obviously Mooney's done a lot of good things too.
Are you still glad that because now we're going to a combine where you don't have a first rounder, and you didn't see a lot of Gardner. Are you still all good with that trade deadline deal of a year ago when you come to a place like this and talk about not having a first rounder? Does that make you think a little bit?
No, I think if you can get an elite player and you have to give up first-round picks to get him, I think that's huge, obviously, to get those and get a proven guy that's done it at this level. To give up that pick, I think, you know, obviously I wasn't here, but Chris did it with DeForest Buckner, you know, back in whatever that was, 2019 or 2020, and he's been a hell of a player for us too. So I think if you can get elite players and give up first-round picks, you know, it could be worth it for sure.
Yeah, Shane Steichen, the head coach of the Colts on Radio Row at the NFL Combine. You mentioned DeForest Buckner. How is he in the neck situation progressing?
Yeah, he's doing really well. Obviously had the surgery. He's progressing really well. He's in that building, you know, getting his treatment, getting his rehab. So he's in a good place, and look forward to him next year.
You foresee a lot of change defensively? I know you're more forte. You're the head coach, but you're more forte offensively. Do you see a lot of change, or there are certain situations you would like to see get a lot better?
Yeah, I think obviously you're always trying to upgrade your roster. So we'll see how every season's a new year and see how the roster plays out with free agency and everything and going through the draft, and we'll go from there. But that's where it's at.
You can keep it in general terms. What do you guys have to get better at defensively? What is the one thing that you absolutely have to get better at?
You know, I think the biggest thing in this league, whether it's offense or defense, I'm speaking, is taking care of the football and getting the takeaways. And I think, you know, we did a pretty good job of taking the ball away. Obviously, we got to do a better job of taking care of it, and then not giving up the explosives. Those are a big part of it. That's a winning formula, not getting up the explosives and getting those takeaways. So if we can do that a little bit better this year, it'll be big for us.
There's been some question regarding possible cap casualties, and Michael Pittman Jr.'s name has been mentioned. Is Michael Pittman Jr. essential to you for this team moving forward?
Yeah, Michael Pittman's toughness that he brings to our football team, that I've been around him for 3 years, his dependability, you know, he's played with a broken back. What he's meant to this organization has been huge. So I got a lot of, you know, belief in Michael Pittman and his abilities.
Tyler Warren started out the season absolutely on fire as a rookie. and then things kind of slowed down. Was that by virtue of, again, the quarterback situation and injuries, or the rest of the league kind of catching up with him, game plan? How do you view the slowdown in play?
Well, I think with anything, I think it's just not him in general. Obviously, we were on a good heater there to start the year, and then obviously, towards the end of the year, it wasn't as hot as it was. And so I think you could say that for a lot of players, that this player wasn't productive as this player or whatever it may be. But I think what we have in Tyler Warren is special, and I'm excited for his future.
So how many ideas? Do you have more ideas other than how you utilized him as a rookie in your mind right now? Or have we seen
I think,
all the variations?
This offseason will be big. When we get back after the Combine, we go through our offseason studies, and obviously you're always trying to evolve offensively and find new ways to get your guys the ball. And those are studies we'll do, and we'll look at stuff in college. We'll look around the NFL or how people are using the tight ends, how people are using wideouts to get targets. And so we're always trying to evolve and get better at that.
Do you take away other people's stuff by watching other teams?
If it's a really good idea, of course. Why not, right?
Well, I'm just – and, again, you can say it because I know you're not going to tell me specifically. You can keep this in general terms. When's the last time you did that? When's the last time you watched something and you go, that's a hell of a plan. That's a hell of an idea. I think I'm going to go ahead and take that.
Well, I think each week when you're game planning a certain opponent, you go through so many games. You watch, let's say you're playing an opponent week 8 and you got 7 games on them to watch, you know what I mean? You might see something week 2 that someone did against a certain specific coverage that you might be like, oh, that's exactly why they did that. Well, if we catch this coverage, that could be really good. Well, we could do something very similar to that and just put our own, eye wash on it with emotion to do that to get this guy freed up.
How was the Phillip Rivers experience for you?
It was awesome. Besides the fact that we didn't win there at the end, to have him back in the fold at 44 years old, just his leadership, his ability, what he's done, what he did for the locker room coming in was very inspirational to a lot of us.
Were you surprised that he got interest as a head coach, and do you think ultimately he is going to be? And I was just kind of curious.
Yeah.
Did anybody was there any dialogue with other teams and you about him being a head coach?
No, I know that got brought up at the end of the year, but do I think he could do it? Absolutely. I'm biased, but the way he goes about his business, the way he sees the game, his leadership qualities, he could definitely handle a football team.
Do you think he's going to be?
Oh, absolutely.
If you're making that call right now.
Oh, yeah. I think he will at some point. Obviously, he's coaching his son, Gunner, there at St. Michael down in Fairhope, just committed to North Carolina State. So I know he's excited about that. But obviously coaching is in his blood. Obviously he was a player for a long time. His dad was a high school football coach. He's doing the same right now. But I'm sure at some point he'll make the jump.
Would you do, again, given that same situation, the Phillip Rivers experience all over again as you did it at the end of last year?
I would. I think what he did for our football team, he came in and he played good football. You know what I mean? Had a chance to win it there in Seattle, coming off the couch on 3 days of practice. And then played really good against San Francisco the following week. So, like I said, it was a great experience for everybody, having him back in the fold.
Offensive line-wise, I'm a big fan of Jalen Travis.
Yeah.
Both talking to him and watching him, I thought, with my naive eye, I thought he did a hell of a job when he was in there at the end of the year. You like him is that your vision, right side of the offensive line?
Yeah, I think he's multiple. I think he can go both ways. So we'll see how the spring plays out. But, we like his upside and what he's about.
You like where the offensive line is and where it's going right now?
I do. I like where it's at. I like, Tanner Bordelina had a big year for us at the center position. Obviously, Q's a staple for us. Braden's really good for us. And then Gons was getting in there at the guard spot and played good football at the guard spot. And so it was good.
Jonathan Taylor, much like Tyler Warren, as I mentioned too, Jonathan Taylor kind of had results fade a little bit production-wise, fade at the end of the year. How do you maintain a consistent level? Because I know it was really high at the start, but how do you maintain a consistent level?
Yeah, I think that's always, you're always trying to find the keys to that. You know what I mean? You're always looking from a schematic standpoint to free guys up, the blocking schemes up front to maintain those big holes that we did have, early on in the season. So I think, we always look at it from a coaching standpoint, looking at the schematics and how we're using him and how to hit those home runs, because I think that's a big part of his game is those home run abilities. He's always good for 3-4 yards a pop, but when you can hit those 60-yarders, that's when the average per carry always goes up. And, we didn't hit those, towards the end of the year. And obviously we want to find ways to find that done. Get that
We got
done.
a kicking controversy, you think, coming up in the offseason? Because, you had two dudes before, one dude before injury and then one dude after injury do a hell of a job.
Yeah, both really good. Both really good kickers. And so we'll see. Obviously, Groupie did a really good job for us. And then we'll see how it goes. Obviously, he's coming off his knee there. So, but excited for both those guys.
No, I thought they both did well for you, too. Hey, before I let you go, I know you got to run with Matt right here, but how's dialogue go after a season like that with ownership, in this case, Carly Ursay-Gordon? How's the dialogue go? Can you let us in a little bit on that?
Yeah, obviously we have our end-of-the-year meetings. We do our evaluations on everything, the football team, the coaching staff. We sit down and we talk and what we need to improve on and get better, and that's pretty much the gist of it and what we're going to do going forward.
All right, no first rounders. Does it feel weird with no first rounder here?
We got one in Sauce. That's the way I look at it.
Well, your evaluation process, is it the same as it always is with this, or does it change because you're not?
Yeah, you never know how the draft goes. You know what I mean? People always ask, I've been, at places where, we have a first-round pick at 18, and, we're interviewing guys that could be a top 4 pick, and it's kind of like, why are you interviewing me? It's like, well, there are trades in the draft. You never know how it's going to play out. You never know if guys drop, to that pick or whatever it may be. So you still go through your process and go through it all the time.
All right, no timetable on anybody getting. I know that's Chris territory right there, but we await that. You're a big fan of Daniel Jones, and I guess we'll leave it at that for the future too.
Appreciate it.
Shane Steichen right there. I know
all
you're
right,
going to run.
awesome.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank
you very much for coming by. Shane Steichen, the head coach of the Colts, right there. He is with us on Radio Row. I guess we could say via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Thank you, Shane. Appreciate that. He's going to go over and meet with the local media. Thank you very much. I'm going to get demiked right here. As we're live on Radio Row, it's funny. You close with, do you evaluate the draft differently because you don't have a number one? And, he's going to say what he always is going to say about, well, we do have a number one at Sauce Gardner. You saw him for about 5 minutes last year. And, how to maintain – how to work on making sure that you see him a lot more and you see him in certainly eventful, results-driven situations. And that all goes down to, as he mentioned, how much he likes Daniel Jones and how much that works. But there is a lot of finger crossing going on, without question, hoping things turn out the way things turn out. Somebody had asked me this a little bit earlier, and I saw this. I think it was a text line message regarding Charvarius Ward. He sounded like a dude. He sounded like a dude at the end of the year that was done. And defensively, that is such a tremendous deal. Even if you have guys, and obviously they had that injury situations with younger guys last year, draftable guys that could certainly take over, but that is such a big deal, and that probably needs to be a little bit more emphasized, because in terms of not having a first rounder, how much do you go after trying to fill the needs if he doesn't return? And I'm assuming here at some point we're going to find out certainly exactly where his direction is going to be, because that is not quite Daniel Jones nor Alec Pierce level, but that is high level in terms of how you need to improve this defense. And if you heard Shane talk about how do you improve this defense, how he would like to see them get better, you have to start with the takeaways, and that's where they want to get better. And part of the reason why you bring in Ward last offseason and you trade for Sauce Gardner is because you're believing big play capabilities are back there. And let's just face it, without Ward or without Gardner, because you're injured or because you've decided to retire, it is a lot different to try to find that. Shane Steichen, podcast 1075thefan.com. I mentioned the morning show is going to have Chris Ballard coming up tomorrow morning. We've got Matt Miller of ESPN coming up here after 5 o'clock. Let me take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll set you up for that. Pacers tonight, Hoosiers tonight, Radio Row this afternoon with Shane Steichen, podcast 1075thefan.com. Quick break. We'll come back. Don't go anywhere. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for Mark Dito, Mark Dito Realty, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, RDIETEL.com today. Two sides of this. Actually, more than just two sides of this, but I'm going to present two sides of it. One is if you need more space and you have to deal with your existing place and also find something that you really like, and if you do, you got to let somebody go at it that you trust. That's Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232. Or if you're going someplace else because you don't need all the space, again, there could be a lot of variables involved, but what you have to find is the consistency of somebody that's going to get it done right, and that's Mark Dietel. In fact, the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home is Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts you can cancel at any time. That's Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. It's markdietel.com, RDIETEL.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
And you could tell Rolling Stone magazine that my last words were, I'm on drugs.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Refund. So Rick Carlisle this morning on the morning show. And then the counter from the NBA. Of course you know who I'm going to believe in this. Now, the NBA put a lot of the blame on our guy Chad Buchanan. What? So I'll read that to you. And when we get into the 5 o'clock hour, I'll recap what Carlisle said to start this. And I will maintain that it was savvy. Now, I get what you're saying because I suggest it was savvy, and now you can do whatever you want to with the stinking lineup, and the NBA is not going to touch it because they've already blanked this up. But I hear what you're saying. Now you're suggesting, because this is where we are, that, hey, wait until you get to Mother's Day. Wait until that draft lottery, and wait until the NBA gets a hold of that. Yeah, I can't deny that I'm also thinking that way too. But I think most people that suggest that were already provided with that train of thought. You already felt that they were going to get hosed. And that's why you were so concerned when, with the protections of that trade deadline deal for Zubats, that's why you were wondering if that was the right move. Because I do maintain this. I think Zubats is going to get it, and I think he's going to provide a pivot that is necessary for them. Now, I do want to see him get back and run up and down the floor and see how that's going to look, but I do think that he certainly can help and be better than what they have right now, even with the shortcomings of not being able to face up and not having that type of game. However, let's just face it, this deal is not nearly the same and probably never will be the same if they don't get a top 4 here. If they don't have the good fortune of landing, some of you disagree with that, but I maintain you deserve it, and it would really suck not to have it. There's just no way. Like, I don't know if you want to compare the two, and that's okay if you don't. If you're saying, well, you're just kind of grasping at straws, maybe so. But I'll put it in terms. You look at Sauce Gardner, the trade deadline in the NFL, and what I just talked to Shane Steichen about. You know, he's our number 1 pick. Well, now that says a lot. Not having a number 1, and now he's the number 1. The guy played for a game, and just a little bit after that, and calf injury. That was that. You know how much work he has to do. You know how much good fortune and good results this team has to have. Then all of a sudden to really justify that. And the same is going to be said regarding this Pacer deal for Ivica Zubats if you don't have a top 4 that rides shotgun with it. It's the way that it is. I don't make the rules, but those are the rules. All right, back to that on the other side. Matt Miller is going to join us coming up on the other side. And we'll revisit, too, that morning sound that started I love this Tuesday stuff. And really, around here, that should be more of the focus than even this NFL Combine, honestly. We'll get to that from Rick Carlisle, the response from the NBA, and a lot more coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Do not go anywhere. This is 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan. Got a great idea for you. That's Lance, local team, LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. This time of year, it is essential to make sure that you are clog-free because last thing you want is water gather. We're going to hit now. I don't know if you guys looked at the forecast, but once we warm up, there's going to be a lot of rain in the forecast. Yeah, you don't want to have to mess with water standing where it shouldn't, in or around the foundation. LD Smith Plumbing and Drains are the rescue. 317-927-7186. And let me remind you of the sump pump situation. You, right now, purchase the battery backup of the sump pump, and you get the best of deals on the sump pump itself with LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. This is essential for your place. 317-927-7186. That is the best in plumbing. Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing and Drains online, ldsmithplumbing.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, I put out a statement about it. I didn't agree with it. There was a league lawyer that was doing the interview that kind of unilaterally decided that Aaron Nesmith, who had been injured the night before and couldn't hold the ball, should have played in the game, which just seems ridiculous. And during the interview process, I was not on it, but I heard details. We asked them if they wanted to talk to our doctors about it, because it's something that was documented by our doctors and trainers. They said no, they didn't need to. They talked to their doctors, who did not examine Aaron Nesmith. And we asked them if they wanted to talk to the kid. And they said no, they didn't need to. So this was shocking. This was shocking to me. And during the interview, they also asked if we'd considered medicating him to play in a game when we were 30 games under 500. So I was very surprised. Obviously didn't agree with it. This is really the first time I've gone into any detail about it, but that was the deal. And so, yeah, that was it.
That is Rick Carlisle from this morning on the morning show, medicating your player to play, deciding who's going to play, and then ultimately fining you $100,000. And that's what the NBA did. So the NBA has responded, and this is what it sounds like. Quote, Coach Carlisle's description of the process that went into the decision to fine the Indiana Pacers is inaccurate. An independent physician led the medical review. In addition, the Pacers general manager and the team's senior vice president, sports and medicine and performance, were interviewed as a part of the process. So we got to get a hold of Chad Buchanan and say, all right, now you're getting blamed. The Pacers confirmed that it had provided all of the information requested by the league, and the team reported that an interview with Coach Carlisle or a team physician wasn't necessary. I'm wondering here, where is at no point in time did anybody repping the NBA offices ask for the Pacers to see if the Pacers would medicate their injured player so he could play? Where's that? Is that in there? Did I miss that? This is such a high level of jackassery, it's not even funny. And all it does is further reinforce, and it's something we all know anyway, it is reinforcing that it is betting partnership that was all about. And we said at the time it was betting partnerships because that's where their level of integrity and care, that's where it really lies. So it's betting partnerships. And then at the time, it was just being reactionary to those that are so outspoken. Because there was zero reason why the Pacers, even with that, should have been lumped in with what the Jazz were doing. But they were. And then they got fined $100,000, which I think everybody's going to say it's a drop in the bucket, which is easy to say when it's not your $100,000. So I have decided that the NBA needs to give the Pacers a refund. There needs to be a refund. This is comical. Now, when this first happened, my initial thought was that was well played by Rick Carlisle, because now you look how everybody is reacting. And because the NBA is so reactionary to that you can do whatever you want. I mean, hell, you can play me against the Sixers later on tonight. I'll get a little bit of run tonight, and the NBA is not going to be able to do anything about it from here on out. No more fines, no more speculation of tanking here on out because of this. Now, a lot of you have reminded me, and I can't lie, there's probably some truth in it, and it's something that I've also thought about, is now their odds of getting a 1 through 4 with the good fortune of the lottery come Mother's Day, those odds are probably shrinking by the moment. And you're right. Now, I've also maintained that we probably had this thought in mind anyway. What an incredible dynamic, and it just is to the level of ridiculousness that the NBA has brought to this entire thing. The integrity. The integrity is all about what your betting partners feel the integrity is with the situation. That's what it's all been about. And then it's all the overreaction. It's their partners in broadcasting nationally that are screaming and yelling and shaking their fist over, I can't believe this. It should be, you should do $1 million for that. What? And at the time, I remember I mentioned to you, so the NBA, they're going to coach up your team. Think about that for a moment. Think about the audacity of, hey, have you tried to medicate him and then send him out there? Yeah, go ahead. It's like some North Dallas 40 stuff right there. Just go ahead and medicate him and then go ahead and just roll his ass out there. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, don't mind the fact that you're 25-plus games under 500. Just, roll them out there for the integrity of the sport. Because that really does matter. It is hilarious. No, simply put, the Pacers deserve a refund. Somebody refund that 100. That's awful. And that statement, you didn't even answer the most significant questions that Rick Carlisle brought up in that statement. That statement just reads like, let's cobble something together quickly that we believe is going to cover our ass, and that was it. It is quite hilarious. And the one thing that I would agree with is, am I excited one of these days to get this team healthy and to see them have a 5 and, that's not, Jay Huff starting or, Bradley starting or Wiseman starting or Micah Potter starting? Yes. And a guy that does offer a different dynamic as a pivot in terms of what he does defensively and what he can do to give you second chance opportunities. Is there a big thing with me with Zubats of wondering how he's going to fit in this offense given what he doesn't provide on that side of the ball? And that's face-up shooting. It's right. But you still have the rim running. You still have the pick and rolls that can be utilized. You're just not going to be a threat to step out and anybody guards you, or at least that's not something you have shown in the past. Yeah, those are all good questions. But I do agree with everybody out there. I do think that he is going to fit, and I think he is going to fit because I think anybody that goes out there and is talented is going to fit with Tyrese Halliburton. I think more of this, to me, and my trust in this, has to do with Tyrese Halliburton than it does anything else. And what he brings to an offense and what he can do. We all witnessed that with Miles. You witnessed that with Aaron Nesmith. You've witnessed that with a number, certainly of players on this Pacer team with better results and a higher level of success just because you play alongside somebody that is so talented, and that talent starts with sharing the basketball and making those around him better. We preach about that all the time. But this is probably the greatest example of that we have seen. He simply makes people better. Now, with all that in mind, this trade is not going to live up to the expectations if it doesn't also include 1 through 4. And you're going to say, well, isn't that kind of like having your cake and eating it too? Yeah, it is, because they deserve it. This is a season, by the way, regardless of what the NBA says in the statement, or regardless of what they put in a fine, this is already a season that has been absolutely deep-sixed by injuries. There is no team that is more deserving of playing who they can when they can and then receiving a lottery selection if they have the good fortune, because they did gamble it and they dangled it out there, but they still deserve it because of the way this season has gone. That's the part. They've compromised that themselves in the gamble on this trade. But the fact that the NBA is trying to define, to Pied Piper decisions being made, in their words, according to the integrity of the game, Rick Carlisle did a hell of a job of calling that out and putting that in legitimate question with what he said earlier today. And we'll see, whether or not it plays a role, or like anything else normally in sports, we end up forgetting about it here in the next 48 hours. But the NBA's response to me is more empty than ever. They better have some more detail. So who and when this independent physician and what do they say? I mean, that statement's not going to get it done. I think Rick and what Rick said this morning had more feeling of realism than any cover-your-ass NBA statement like what I just read to you. It's classic stuff right there. But refund, $100,000 back, and just, hey, let them do. And one more time, my whole philosophy in this, I hate the whole concept of entertaining losses. And I'm not a fan of tanking at all. But I do want to see this organization ultimately do what is best for them and for this fan base. And that's why you're there. And we have seen teams have done this in the past. And I mentioned there was a motto, a mantra. They made shirts out of the process for the better part of a decade in Philadelphia, what they did. And you see, to me, even greater examples. I mean, Sacramento's put nearly everybody. Hell, they just won last night, too. They put everybody, I think, done for the season. You just saw Nurkic end up being shut down for the season for, I think, some kind of nostril or nasal surgery. Teams do that in a variety of ways. Why? Because they're trying to do what's best beneficial for their organization, too. And now all of a sudden, the NBA feels, as if we got to stand up for the integrity of our product, when it just reeks of we got to stand up for the integrity of our sports betting partners. And that should be problematic to everybody. Without question. Matt Miller's going to join us coming up in a minute. If you want to respond to that, 239-1070, you certainly can. It is classically hilarious. I don't see in that statement at all where it mentions anything about, hey, let's go ahead and get a little medicine in that player and get him out there. That's just great. Great NBA. So I'll stand by it until further notice what Rick Carlisle had to say being beneficial for the Pacers and really what they're trying to do. But it all comes down to that draft lottery on Mother's Day and what happens there. I know what everybody's thinking about that right now, without question. All right, we got that to talk about, too. We got IU Northwestern coming up later on tonight from Bloomington. Last time out, the Hoosiers blown out on the road in West Lafayette by the Boilermakers. I have been very outspoken, and a lot of people are going to say, well, you're from Southern Indiana, he's from Southern Indiana. It has nothing to do with that. I don't really understand it all. And even when people say, well, he hasn't played that well, he looks like a deer in the headlights, why Trent Sisley doesn't get more time than he has so far? Is it because the coach's son is squeezing out all the men? I know Miles has been in there as well, playing some recently. But I think you really owe it to folks. I'm not even talking about the Sisley kid. I have no real rooting interest in this. But I would like to see them try some other things. And for the life of me, I don't understand why you don't get a little bit more legitimate clock to the freshman. He may not end up being a star. Maybe he is detrimental. But the least I think you owe it to people is to find out. We've seen all these other guys be broke as a joke. We've seen these other guys not rebound as well as they should. We've seen these other guys be beaten on the defensive end. I'm just kind of interested to see this freshman kid that was so highly touted. You play so much early in the season, and then your time is now gone, and you're relegated to mop-up minutes and a 30-point loss against your rival on a Friday night. So somebody's going to have to tell me how that makes sense. And frankly, I don't care whether or not you're thinking about next year or this year or right now in the moment. I just kind of want to see what it might be like to see what this kid has. Other than the fact where you just have no belief and you think that he is playing to the level of what you might get from a walk-on, because that's the type of minutes that you're giving him would be walk-on minutes. To me, when you're down 30 and that game was going in that direction, regardless of what you feel, Trent Sisley has been disappointing. Trent Sisley has been overmatched. He is not ready for a game like that. You absolutely have to put him in more than what you did to see something of it. And it has nothing to do with the Southern Indiana ties or anything like that. I just get sick and tired of seeing the same old thing here. And I tell you what, if you put him out there, give him a little bit of run, and it doesn't work, and you take him back out, then I'll say, all right, you're absolutely right. You're the coach, and you're the genius, and that's why you're a genius. But until we see that, you don't look like too much of a genius by relegating this guy to the bench when you're down 20-plus points in a situation where, at the very least, what you want to get out of that is to see what your freshman might be able to do right now. What perfect time to do it when you're getting your doors blown off by Purdue. See if he gets any more run coming up later on tonight. I don't know if I'm going to hold my breath on that. Yeah, no, people have said, well, he's going to have definitely 1 foot in the transfer portal. I think all these kids probably have 1 foot in the transfer portal. They're probably not going to have basically anybody back coming up next year. And maybe that includes Trent Sisley. The whole lack of minutes for him, even if I'm not viewing him as, a player that can make a significant difference, at the very least, why don't you see what you have, and maybe you do find out you can give this kid a little bit more clock. Or maybe you prove to everybody like me out there that you're the coach, and that's why you're smart, and you're right, and I'm stupid, and I'm on the radio. At the very least, you can find out, because I don't think anybody knows right now. I think if you say you know, you don't know. You may know the level in which he can't compete, but you don't know what he's going to be able to add because you just don't see him enough in those situations. And when you're down 25 points, 20 points, 25 points, whatever it might be, the fact that you still have the main guys, your starters out there, who cares? See what else you might have. Maybe you'll find something. Maybe you won't. Either way, you're going to be good. Either way, you're going to find something, and that's great, or you're going to be justified in your previous decisions not to play him. It is a weird-ass mystery at this point right now, and I don't necessarily think it has to be that way. We'll see if there's a little bit more clock in the offering coming up later on tonight for the freshmen as they take on Northwestern. 7 o'clock is that tip time. 6 o'clock your coverage, 93 WIBC. Matt Miller's going to join us, I believe, coming up in just a minute. I don't have any idea what this dude looks like, James. Am I supposed to be looking for him? Is he going to stop by here a little bit later?
He should know what table you're at.
There's no identification here of this table. Is he just going to say, did you tell him it is the table that has the most handsome dude on Radio Row, which is not saying a lot, by the way. The most handsome dude on Radio Row sitting in front of it? Is that what you said to him?
I told him that you guys were at table 34, which is the number I was given.
What table is it? Do we have a table 34? I don't think. Huh. Because I'll wave my hands or something. I don't know if I know what he looks like. We'll try to track him down. I'll try to wave my hands. You should have just told him it's the most handsome guy in a room full of radio dudes. And he would just probably make a beeline right over here, I'd imagine. We're right here in the middle. Because I don't think we have normally I think a lot of these other tables, James, I don't think our table has an identifier. Or maybe it did, but it doesn't any longer. We'll see if Matt Miller is going to join us. Otherwise, as you and I the rest of the way, I got some of your text line messages I'll get to coming up. And, James, I believe you mentioned we have tickets to the bowling U.S. Open, correct?
That is correct. The
We got
men's
that?
U.S. Open.
The men's U.S. Open. That always looks fun as hell up there. Woodland Bowl, I believe, is the site for that. Great site, too. And significant levels of bowling right there. Was it a year ago when Mookie Betts of the Dodgers was a part of that here? I believe it was. I think I tried to track him down and never made any significant headway. But I believe Mookie Betts is a big-time bowler, and I want to say he was a part of that a year ago, if memory serves. All right, we'll look out for Matt Miller. Rest of the way, you and I at 239-1070. Email address, jmv at 1075thefan.com. We'll give you a chance at those tickets coming up as well. Hey, we are going to have a memorable March because there's going to be a lot going on. I'll share that with you. Plus, we've got a deep discount to start our golf outing. That has been unleashed this week as well. I'll give you the details on that coming up too. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, Radio Row, the NFL Combine. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Oh, it's John here. I'm stretching. How are you doing? You called me a mid-stretch. And in mid-stretch, I'm also thinking about where you're going later on tonight. A lot of you are going to go down, and you may see me get a little bit of run for the Pacers later on tonight. You never know. But on your way, post up, just a block away at the District Tap. Damn good food, TVs everywhere. Whatever you're watching, you're going to be able to see it too. Oh, yeah, by the way, tremendous happy hour specials at the District Tap. It is incredible. I'm talking about the downtown location. A lot of these people here can make it over there. But how about if you're on the north side, for example? Clearwater Crossing, the same goes there. You've got great happy hour specials, damn good food, entertainment everywhere, TVs everywhere, all that you need. You're going to find it at the District Tap. The District Tap. 2 locations to serve. Tell my friends at the District Tap, Michael and the gang, I sent you, especially if you're in town for the Combine or going to the game later on tonight. Make that your destination location. And to find out more online, thedistricttap.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Thank you for your support.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back to Radio Row, NFL Combine. Shane Steichen earlier, podcast 1075thefan.com. All right, James, we're going to do the text line. Let's do the phones here. You want to do the phones?
Let's do it.
All right, number 9 at 239-1070. So the U.S. Bowling Open or the U.S. Open of Bowling. How do I explain that? Did I say that accurately?
It is the men's U.S. Open bowling tournament, which is March 1st through the 8th at Woodland Bowl.
What was that quote from Kingpin? It has 3 holes in it, and it's your future. It's bald and round and has 3 holes in it. Remember that quote from Woody Harrelson and Kingpin? And then Randy Quaid responded with, you leave what's her name out of this, mister.
I have never seen that movie.
He said, no, it's bowling. James, have you ever seen anything that I've seen? Have you ever watched it?
Die Hard. Hey, you and I have Die Hard in common.
I think we have Die Hard in common. I don't think you've seen a damn thing that I've seen other than that.
Probably not.
Number 9 at 239-1070. Mookie Betts was in this of the Dodgers a year ago, if you remember accurately. Number 9 is going to go. We'll go back to the text line coming up tomorrow when I'm back in studio. Number 9 at 239-1070. You are going to go on us. Hey, a shout out to Nippers in Carmel. It closed permanently this past Saturday. Nippers was a long-time place to hang out up in Carmel. James, not James back in the studio, but James on the text line at 317-239-1070 has mentioned, find someone in life that loves you like JMV loves Sicily. I would tell you this. I don't love Sicily as much as I love, hey, let's look and see what this 4 or 5-star, whatever star guy it was, if he can play and not leave his ass on the bench the entire time and see the same old crap we have to watch. Holy God. And then prove to me that he shouldn't get a clock, and then I'll shut up about it. But until that point in time, give the guy a second or two, for God's sake, DeVries. How hard is that? Get back to that in a second. Joining us now, Charles Arbuckle of the Radio Network. He's a friend of the show. He's the former NFL tight end, went to UCLA, Charlotte, North Carolina now. How you doing, man?
Right.
You all right?
Man. I'm good.
What are you doing here? Are you doing the same as me, just enjoying your favorite event of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working with these guys, and I'm doing a little bit to make sure that, I know the college game.
Yeah.
I know the NFL game, but it's seen a lot of these guys, and then just really here so I can get an insight into how the teams are thinking, in particular the Colts, but just everybody else, because some people will play their hand at this, and they'll let you know what they're doing, and others will not. I think we all know that the Colts need some. Everybody needs something, but they don't get the opportunity to do that until the second round. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, I asked Shane this a little bit earlier. Has that changed the dynamic of thinking without a first rounder? And his response, and I knew this was coming, well, Sauce Gardner's our first rounder. Yeah. Well, can his ass get out there and play too? Because he didn't play too much last year either. Yeah. Let's go. Come on. No, seriously. It is, I would have to think it's more difficult. But I've said this, Charles. It is all up to this group they're bringing back this year.
Yeah.
Because this really is kind of either this year or everything is going to change, and it should.
Well, and I think all of them to a point will also say we have to figure out if things go bad and, stuff hits the fan, how can we MacGyver and make sure that we get things going? And, I mean, some other teams had those situations, and they were still able to sustain, maybe not get to the end of the line like Seattle did, but I think you have to really figure out, I have to plan for A, B, C, D, even all the way to Z for this year. Right. And you have to do it well. And I think they saw some things that will help them, and then there are also going to be probably some things that are going to change before next year.
Yeah, it's Charles Arbuckle who is with us too. Somebody had mentioned to me, find somebody that loves you like JMV loves Trent Sisley of IU, the freshman. Well, I think the same thing can be said about Shane Steichen and Phillip Rivers. Because there's a great deal of deeply rooted trust in Phillip Rivers right there. But we all know that's no way to live right now. It's just no way to live.
I think if you look at it, ideally, you have a healthy Daniel Jones, you would have made the playoffs in some form or fashion. You wouldn't have lost all of those games. And I think also too, you have to find ways to get it done. And these guys know it, whether it's Chris Ballard or Shane Steichen, but the players also have to be really key on doing that. So that's why this is really important for them to add to the mix. But also, if Daniel Jones is coming back, Alec Pierce, you don't want to lose him. Adding offensive linemen on the defensive side, there's some things that need to happen with probably the rush in, linebacker. We were talking about safeties now, how important safeties. And Eamon Warry, you see him with Seattle. Those guys are almost like linebackers, but they can still play back. They can, thump you. So you got to make sure if it's not Nick Cross, who's coming back. So there's a lot of different factors in free agency, but also in the draft that have to play a role.
Well, and, first you got to get Daniel Jones back signing-wise.
Exactly.
We'll get to Alec Pierce in a second, but you trust that he's going to be ready? Let's just say, hypothetically, he's back, which he's going to be, but do you trust that, A, he's going to be back in enough time to start the season, per usual, and then how much trust do you put in his durability to last the season, which has been in question throughout his career?
I think you have to look at it from the standpoint of the way technology is and how he's progressing. It sounds like all things are progressing, that he'll be on schedule. I do think that means you're still going to – and I don't think Anthony Richardson is going to be here. I don't think the way the conversations are going and how –
It was oddly enough, Shane didn't tell me whether or not he was going to be here.
Yeah.
I thought he might.
Yeah.
Actually, I did not make that up. There's no way in hell he was going to tell me either way.
But with that said, then Riley Leonard becomes your second unless you go out and get a veteran guy like Kirk. There's so many different variables, right? That's the thing you got to speculate here or there. But I do think Daniel will be healthy. How healthy? Is it 80%? Is it 90%? I don't know that. I mean, that's for him and the doctors to decide. But then you're going to have to figure out, is Riley Leonard our second guy, or do we go get somebody off the street that may be able to come in case? Those are all the things that I think they're working on now, and it's interesting to see how they put that together.
Now, excuse me, Charles Arbuckle's on the Andy Moore Automotive. Check that with us. He would be on the Andy Moore Automotive Group line, but he's actually sitting across from me on Radio Row. I know that this is regional bias coming out here, but the most interesting thing about this combine, especially given the fact the Colts don't have a first-rounder, is 9 IU guys a part of this combine. That's amazing.
I think
it's like Miami Hurricanes old-school stuff right there.
Yeah, it is, and I also think, too, there could be one or two or a couple that could end up being drafted by the Colts. You never know. I mean, if you look at linebacker, there's been some conversation about is Fisher a guy that the Colts would look at as a guy that they would bring here. I mean, there's all kind of factors on day 2 and day 3, so that's why I think that's what's intriguing to me. Even though they don't have a first-round pick, this is where you build your roster. This is how you get to that next step with some of those guys that are later in the draft, second day, third day, that really can play a factor for you early on.
The differences you like between both Surratt and Cooper Jr., wide receiver coming out here.
Yeah, I like both of those guys in different ways. I think they both – what I like about both of them, they're tough guys. And I think that's something that I saw consistently watching Surratt and Cooper Jr. before they even got to IU. But they also they have a way of making plays when plays need to be made. And, I don't know how they're going to test. They probably won't test all that well, just from a standpoint of 4-2, 4-3 guys. But what I like is the production and the dogged determination to go after the ball. And that's what you want to have. And I'm sure a guy like Reggie Wayne, whoever he gets in that room, if he loses Pittman and you replace him with a younger guy like that, that's what you want to have.
Alec Pierce is essential. So if you were guessing, franchise tag or they find some common ground to get a deal done, especially in landscape right now where it appears that his name is right up there among the most sought-after free agents. And
I've heard it. I did a couple of interviews with other teams, and they were like, if you guys don't want Alec Pierce, we'll take him, especially with the value of not only a guy that can go up and get it, but intermediate route running, the things that he's been able to do, the things that you can tell he's a Reggie Wayne protege. Reggie Wayne just got better and better and better as a receiver when he was here, and he's teaching Alec those same things. I think we talked about it when Alec was drafted, how he could take the top off, but he was still learning. He almost had training wheels on how to play the receiver position. Man, now he's a full-grown Denali and can get it and make it happen.
Well, and he's had to deal with a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of – and we obviously saw him – we've seen him at his best. And I think, to me, I look at Alec Pierce, and I think he is a multi-now dimensional wide receiver. But I think he's the biggest reason why Daniel Jones can be considered a downfield threat. I think you lose your downfield threat if he's not a part of the equation, if Daniel Jones is your quarterback.
Without a doubt. I mean, and I think that's why when you look at it, think about this. It didn't fall off when Riley Leonard came in because Riley Leonard was not a great deep ball thrower at Duke. He got better at Notre Dame. But he showed me something when they played Cincinnati in the preseason to Laquan Treadwell. Remember that deep ball that he hit? And Matt Taylor and I were both like, wow. And that was the thing we saw time and time again, even from Riley Leonard later in the season when he got his opportunities. So I think Alec Pierce gives you – whoever's the quarterback is going to be like, I can't out-throw that guy, but I'm a damn sure try and make him look good on a 50-50, which becomes an 80-20 a lot of times.
You think Michael Pittman Jr. is essential to bring back considering this offense, or is he not cost-efficient enough to justify that?
It depends on what he is willing to take as a cost adjustment for the Colts. I think the Colts have whatever that is that they're looking at to say, we can afford you for this. If he's not in that, then he's no longer here. If he can, I think he's still a productive guy. He seems to has stayed healthy the last few years, unlike earlier years. And I also think he's just a big physical presence, which almost gives you that big receiver tight end kind of effect along with Tyler Warren.
What do they do? Let's just say, for example, they decide that he's not going to be cost efficient. What do you do instead of him?
Yeah.
What do you find? What do they have right now? You think, is it anybody, or is that going to be something that – because to me, with this group, I don't think you need any more question marks.
Yeah.
You got enough the way that it is.
You would address it in free agency potentially, but then if you don't look there's some really good receivers coming out. And the good thing with receiver is you can get those guys early and they can learn on the job, but they can also come into a place where they don't have to be the guy because he's no longer the number one. Pittman is probably 2, in some cases even 3, depending on how Tyler Warren is game plan that week. So I think that's the one thing that I look at. You got a guy that used to be a number 1, and now you almost are going to say, well, let me pay you like 1B or almost 2. And can he go for that? And if he doesn't, then you're looking somewhere else, whether free agency or in the draft.
You got any feel whether or not Charvarius Ward is going to return, or
man, I sure hope so.
Decide to hang it up?
I really hope so. But that's selfish of me. I hope he's healthy because when he's healthy, he helps that team a lot. That team, then you can match him up with Sauce Gardner. You got Kenny Moore back there. Cam Bynum gave you all that. It's. Even Nick Cross, I think, is one of those X-factor guys. But I hope Ward comes back because he's won Super Bowls. He understands what it takes to get into the playoff and get deep into the playoffs. And he's just got that – he's a dog. One of those guys that you want to see on your team making things happen. And I think that's what the Colts need to get – because there's going to be bumps in the road. I don't care how they start. The way you finish is going to be critical this year for them to make that next step.
Charles Arbuckle, the Colts Radio Network. I should mention we were in on Fernando Mendoza with you a year ago because he was at Cal and you saw a lot of his games. Yeah. Did you ever think in your wildest dreams that he would transform into the number 1 overall selection, which many people have tabbed him to be? and be the Heisman Trophy winner, national champion, and all that he has accomplished in 1 year.
I wish I could say I saw that. What I did see was a guy that was tough. I saw a guy that really worked at his craft, and he believed in himself. And I think that was the perfect marriage and combination going with Kirk Signetti and his crew of getting him together, and all the guys that kind of showed up there from JMU and other places, and some of the holdovers from Indiana. I'm not surprised that he's had so much success because of the way he works at it. You listen to him talk and you kind of think, oh, but he's one of those dudes that you want in the alley with you because he's going to fight. And he, each time I've seen him get the crap knocked out of him, he gets back up. And that's what I saw at Cal. He was getting a lot more of that. And you could just tell his toughness. And so I'm happy for the young man, and I think he'll have a really good pro career.
Is his biggest asset being able to out-tough you or out-execute you? Because the preparation aspect, I think, is, at least from what people suggest, is unmatched.
Yeah. Anticipation of where he needs to go with the football, gotten better as a thrower, I think, but also just the way he sees the game and the way he works with guys like even, Charlie Becker and Cooper and Surratt. They all talk about how much he worked at it to get them in position. And you don't make those plays by just saying, oh, I'm a tough guy. You make those plays by having practiced them and understand where guys are going to be, and you put them in the right place to make plays.
All right, you here until when?
I'm here till Thursday.
Our favorite event is the NFL Combine. Charles Arbuckle,
all right,
good
man.
to see you,
Good
pal.
seeing you, too. Thanks.
Charles Arbuckle, Colts Radio Network. He's a friend of this show. You know that to be true. Let's take a break. We'll come back. I did want to clarify this. Luke sent me this. Nippers in Carmel, their last day is coming up this Saturday. Coming up. It has been long-standing a tradition in Carmel. Nippers. I remember Jake Query doing a show up there a year ago. Thanks. Appreciate you, man. But Nippers is closing its doors. Its last day is this coming Saturday. So tell them up at Nippers that we were talking about them right here as they say goodbye coming up this weekend. I'll say hello to the studio coming up tomorrow and the rest of the week, too. We got a lot to get to the rest of the week. I'll explain, and we'll get you set for the night in sports and then the rest of the week in sports. Live from the NFL Combine, Shane Steichen podcast, 1075thefan.com. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 1075 The Fan. Oh, I think understanding what you don't know and how you have to go with the best and how the best can help you is essential in everyday living. And that's why, even if I had my home up for sale and I wanted to move someplace else, I want to go with the best. That's Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, MarkDietel.com today. Hey, you may be in that situation. I'm not right now. You may be, and I am here to help you. The one thing we are, even if we don't agree on a lot of the sports takes, the one thing we're helpful to one another to make sure we can make our daily existence easier. And this is one thing that will do it. If you're in the market to sell your home, to move someplace else, no matter the situation, you got to go with the best. And Mark Dietel's the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Here's what you do. Pick your move date. No long-term contracts. You can cancel at any time. That's Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel Realty today. You want to go with the best? Mark Dietel is the absolute best. 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com. MarkDietel.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Are you kidding? You think I'd join this crummy snobatorium? But this whole place sucks. That's right, it sucks.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Man, I was thinking about this the other day. And it's actually happened. I'm at the Combine, NFL Combine. I missed the Gorman. This is the first time I've been down to an NFL Combine in forever without the Gorman around here. Shout out to wherever he is, to the Gorman. I miss you, Gorman. And see, I know now, like my friends from Kansas City, Sarim Petro's next to me, not going to make fun of him because there's no Gorman here. Shout out to the Gorman, wherever the Gorman might be. We miss you a great deal. This is the first time in a long time I've been down to this NFL Combine, and he has not been around. So they have shared with me, James has back in the studio, I must go 8 minutes after because we have to get you to the Colts Daily Update and then to the Pacer pregame. Thus, I will make Matt Taylor come over and spend that 8 minutes with me coming up after 6 o'clock. If I've got to go longer, then I'm going to get Matt Taylor, the reason behind that, over here to talk with me coming up. Shout out to Charles Arbuckle, who joined us. I don't know whatever happened to Matt Miller. James tells me back at the station that they are rescheduling Matt Miller of ESPN, and that's great. I'm very excited about the rescheduling. Hey, by the way, Pacers-Sixers tonight. Pascal Siakam, wrist situation, not playing. T.J. McConnell, hamstring, available for duty. Andrew Nembhard, injury management. He's available. Thank you, Eddie Garrison, for that. Injury management. That sounds like some course I need to take at Indiana State. Injury management right there. Speaking of the Sycamores, I'll be over there on Sunday. Now, I don't know how many people are going to actually go watch UIC and Indiana State play. I'll be one of them, and I guess they do a Sycamore siren or something. And if you remember last week, Greg Lansing, the former head coach in front of the show, was back in town, and he did that. So I am doing that on Sunday, in fact, over in Terre Haute. Any reason for me to head to the TH and hang out for a little bit, that is all good. So thank you to Nathan Christensen, the athletic director in Indiana State, for asking me to do that. And I shall be over there coming up on Sunday. Hey, JMV, I didn't realize that you were the one who needed to see what this kid is all about. So I didn't realize you were one of the coaches on the team. So I guess I'll see you on the sideline sometime tonight at the game. Well, I'm saying it's not that hard to figure out. Is it? Is it that hard to figure out? I'm just curious. Why? Maybe you just see what you have when you're down 25 to Purdue on the road and not just very end-of-game mop-up minutes to see what maybe Sicily can do. Maybe it give you a little bit of confidence to play him. It doesn't seem that hard to me. I'm not suggesting Darren DeVries is a bad coach because of it, but I just don't understand, and I don't know why on Friday night you didn't see more time from him. It wasn't going to make a difference. They were still going to get their ass beat. But if it doesn't make a difference, then, okay, we saw the same. We've seen what wasn't going to make a difference, so let's see something else that's not going to make a difference. And maybe you find something all of a sudden. It'd be nice if they found something all of a sudden. Hey, JMV, JJ here in Fishers with the whole NIL. What are the rules pertaining to the redshirt freshman transfer and the redshirt freshman even is still a thing? You can just go and do whatever you want to, JJ. All wide-ass open, brother. I just think even without the lack of clock, you're always going to have people reach out because of NIL and transfer portal. But you would have to think that there's going to be a thought process there, given the lack of time. And listen, it may not matter. I'm not trying to suggest this kid is like an All-American, but on a team that's getting its ass whipped, I don't know why you don't want to see a little bit more out of it. Just me. Listen, I'm not a Big Ten coach. What would I know? I'm not Dusty May Jr. JMV, the NBA also didn't deny that their independent physician didn't evaluate Neesmith. Oh, well, Yeah, there was a lot that was lacking in that cover your ass bullcrap NBA statement that was retaliatory to what Rick Carlisle said this morning on the morning show. That's great. You got to love that. You got to love it. So, again, I'll suggest that was smart and savvy by Carlisle. I will suggest that now, no matter what the Pacers do, you're not going to get fined, and then nobody's going to question it. Now, might that be an issue coming up on Mother's Day with the draft lottery? Granted, it was probably going to be an issue with the luck or good fortune or lack thereof anyway. Maybe. But let's just face it, the $100,000 fine by the NBA, they need to refund that. And they need to refund that like now. That's a joke. Well, it's $100,000 for an NBA organization. It's not much. I don't care. I don't care if it's a dime. Refund it. Refund it. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Hey, Matt, you're going to join me over here? I get a thumbs up from Matt Taylor. The reason why I've got an extra 8 minutes is going to join me coming up in the 8 minutes leading up to his start, 8 minutes after 6 o'clock. Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts, he's got a daily update for you. They also talked to Shane Steichen a little bit earlier. Hey, we're going to compare and contrast answers. You want to? You think they were the same? Do you think what you asked Shane? Well, I'll tell you what. I'm not going to waste the time. I'll ask you that when you sit down here coming up on the other side. Extra 8 minutes after 6 o'clock, live from the NFL Combine. Don't go anywhere. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Dude, most metal
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, welcome back. We got 8 extra minutes where Matt Taylor's going to join us. You know, one of the great things about the NFL Combine, and this is maybe unbeknownst to you if you're not in radio, but this is a bonanza of people talking to people off microphone. I don't think you're ever going to find more of an event where more people talk to others when they're just kind of walking by and when somebody is off microphone, meaning that you rarely, if ever, hear the other person talking. So I know nobody's mentioned that, but I didn't know that is somewhat of a pain in the ass. But this is a bonanza of people talking to others off mic, which is exactly the reason why, since I'm going an extra 8 minutes. Let's see. Actually, I've got 11 minutes, 05, 04, 11-minute mark right now. I have 11 minutes left in parking.
Well,
before I send
you better scoot.
Soren Petro out there from Kansas City to pay.
You parked on this. How did you find a parking spot on the street on a day like today?
Oh, I'm over on the other side.
Did you park on Mass Ave and walk over?
I went down to the old Emma slot and I parked in Pat Walsh's douchey spot.
Well, he's not there.
Yeah, well, he might. Well, you probably not, because it's not a big game where he can sit on the sideline in his bedazzled jeans and let everybody see him.
No comment, brother. I'm not going to swim in those waters.
Come on. Speaking of swimming in waters, that's maybe the reason why I couldn't park on the second level of the Emma's lot, because it's underwater most of the time. Interesting.
It does leak.
It does leak, and
yeah.
I don't think it's.
It has been known to overflow.
I don't think it's actually water. I think that maybe the Conrad just flushes their toilet, and that's where it goes. You think?
I thought I was in that alley between the two buildings.
See, this is what happens. You lead me on an extra 8 minutes right here.
Yeah.
We're going to get off and
Sorry
going.
about you.
Hey, so I asked Shane Steichen. You talked to Shane Steichen. I asked him about when Daniel Jones once, because he's going to be signed here somehow, some way, is he going to be on track to return as what they want? He said yes. Did he say the same thing to you?
Yeah, he did.
Did he elaborate?
They talk like Daniel Jones in the present tense. So we got confirmation today that they do want to re-sign him. The talks are ongoing. We'll see when that happens, but ideally they get a deal done with Daniel Jones. They get a deal done with Alec Pierce. They avoid having to use the franchise tag on anybody. They don't have to mess with Michael Pittman Jr. They talked about Michael Pittman Jr. today, very much in the present tense as well. Again, in a utopian Colts society, you bring back Jones, Pierce on extensions, and you don't have to restructure anything for Michael Pittman Jr. We'll see about that. I don't know how they can make that work, but that's going to be their mission here in the offseason. But Charles and I, when we talked with Shane about an hour ago, one of the interesting things that I brought up with him is, how do you evaluate Lou Anarumo in his first season as defensive coordinator? I said it's kind of tough to evaluate the Colts defense last year because they played with a non-full deck of cards for most of the season, right? I mean, they built the defense around Ward, Gardner, and Buckner, and those guys combined to miss 24 games. And Kenny Moore and Gardner and Ward together in the secondary, they only played one game together the entire year. So he said no excuses, like he's really excited about the scheme and what they were able to build this year, but no excuses. You still have to find ways to close games out, and that's a big thing. We talked about it, all off season. Colts were 3-7 in one-score games this past season, 2-8 against teams that were above 500, and that's what the back half of the season was for the Colts last year, right? They lost 7 straight games, but 6 of those losses, I should say, were to teams that won at least 11 games. So it was put up or shut up time, but unfortunately for the Colts, that's when they played without a majority of their best players, like Daniel Jones and Buckner and Ward and Gardner. So no excuses from the head coach. You got to find ways to close those games out. The good teams do.
That's Matt Taylor.
Was that 8 minutes?
That's, let's see what my 7:13 remaining on my parking.
Well,
right
hell.
7:13. Hey, how's the trivia thing going on the road?
Man, it's been really fun. It's been really fun. Last week we did 2 of them. We were at Ale Emporium on Thursday night down in Greenwood, and that was a blast, packed house. And then the next night on Friday, we were at O'Reilly's in Speedway, another packed house. I don't know what the normal crowds are for these places, but they've been really good. There were people coming in on Friday at O'Reilly's, and they were like looking because I was at the hostess stand,
right?
And I'm far from the hostess at a place like that, but that's where they put me up. So people were coming in right in front of me, from the main entrance, and their eyes would light up a little bit, like, whoa, there's a lot going on in here tonight.
Good.
It's normally not this busy, which is, I think, a good thing. And people are having fun doing it. I know I'm having a ton of enjoyment putting the games together. The first couple of nights I did it, there were 2 teams that didn't miss a question. They got every question right. And then last time I did it, there was a table next to me saying, well, these are hard questions. So I'm trying to find that sweet spot. I think it's a good mixture for anybody, any Jimmy or Joe to play. You don't have to be like a Indiana sport expert to be successful at it and enjoy it, because I think the questions are pretty gettable in the first couple of questions per round, and then later in the round the questions sort of heat up and intensify, and that's when the JMVs of the world take over and get
taking over, buddy.
Those 12-point questions there towards the end of every round. But I think the feedback's been good, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I know people are, I think, enjoying it.
You going to do it this weekend?
Yeah, Thursday night I'm at the Dugout.
Oh, the
downtown
Dugout
here,
I believe
Fletcher Square.
I'm going to the Dugout tomorrow. I love Nick. Shout out to Nick Baxter of the Dugout.
Yeah.
I love Nick Baxter. He's very happy because Center Grove's girls
Mm-hmm.
are unbeaten in the championship game. He's a Center Grove guy. Ron Colley's girls. Shout out to Coach Sims, too. I love Coach Sims, man.
Yep, they're in the state. I'm doing that game.
Are you really?
Yeah, 3A game on radio.
They allow you with your Ron Colley roots to do
no
it?
bias in
No
that
bias
broadcast,
whatsoever.
right? That's like Jim Nance doing a Houston game.
Yeah, that is. That's awesome, though. It is great to see both, and you got a lot of local interest in here, but you both Ron Colley and
the South Side,
and Center Grove.
Mm-hmm.
And Center Grove has 3 seniors, and Grayson Gilliard obviously has had a missed basketball type of season. There's no question about that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. And Ron Colley's got some really good players. I think their best player is a junior.
Yep.
And
Elliot Leffler.
Yeah, Elliot Leffler, and she had, I think, 20 points the other night against Jennings County. Great game. Won by 3, 50-47. The game winner, the game-tying shot from Jennings County there in the corner, went in and out, and then Ron Colley got the rebound. It was a great game, good atmosphere at Southport.
All right, you and Charles next here.
Charles and Case. Case is here, too.
Oh, Casey's over there, too.
Yes, sir.
Well, you're talking to Mike Chappell.
Yeah.
On Beach Grove.
Dino.
Yes. All right, this is my only day here. Don't be sad, guys. I won't be back to my favorite event.
See you in 2027.
No. All right, brothers. I appreciate you.
All right.
Shane Steichen a little bit earlier. Greg Rakestraw a little bit earlier. Charles Arbuckle a little bit earlier. Matt Taylor now a little bit earlier. They got the Colts Daily Update on the other side. I'm back in studio coming up tomorrow. James, thank you very much for the time. You got IU basketball, 93 WIBC. After this, you've got Pacer pregame, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Have a great night.